excited about this. Today we got something special. We're going to be showcasing, or actually recently, Pengo is the first person ever to sweep all 100 individual level records for this game, which is a huge accomplishment. Congratulations.
Oh, thanks.
And to celebrate this, I put together a video to showcase all of them as if they were part of a real run. So as if they were part of a full any% run. Obviously, they're still real records. They are just ILs. This will be showcasing what it would have looked like if someone, by an immaculate miracle, managed to do every single one of these tricks in a real life run. Okay, here we go for reals this time. And... haha, we started. All right, sorry. Please continue with your explanation.
Alright, so at the end of each level, it's going to switch from my 3DS back to kind of this screen that we're seeing from Char. This is because that Char plays on the digital version, and the digital version is faster for loading between levels, and so it'll switch back and forth between them at the end of every level.
Yes. So yeah, the load times vary drastically between systems, so we are using my system, which is a faster load time, but this will be all of Pengo's IL, so here comes the first one. Unsurprisingly, the first IL is 1-1. Shocking,
Yep.
I know, right?
Who would have thought?
It's amazing how this works out. One thing to look out for this was how closely Pengo cuts the corner. You'll see he jumps around to land in the pipe. That is optimal. And then, of course, he's going to get the stair jump at the end. Spoilers. That's the things to look out for a fast 1-1.
Whoa.
Very nice. We're commentating this. Like, this is official. There's a run happening. It's pre-recorded and spliced, but it's happening. Oh gosh, I've been so excited for this. Like, I've now watched these ILs multiple times, sometimes as a moderator for the community, once as I was importing them, once as I was reviewing the video again, and they're just so much fun. So for 1-2, some of the things to look out for would be the stair climb with the invisible blocks. Like, that's going to be closer to the end of the level, right? Coming up here, look at this beautiful turn back to get onto it. No one else does it that way. It's so fast. And then climbing up those stairs, no time at all. Watch the 287. That is the earliest 287 I've ever seen. The 287 does not change until after he starts moving. Most of the time, even with the top player, the 287 is barely there before you exit the door. It's... sorry. I'm just going to fangirl over all these ILs because they're really damn good.
Fair enough.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, it's just mainly the block climb for 1-2. There isn't too much else to optimize, other than not jumping immediately after exiting the doors, which is a good way to lose a little bit of time.
Good point. Alright, on to 1-3. 1-3 is fairly standard, so that one, a little bit breath.
Well, it's fairly straightforward, but I don't make it fairly straightforward.
Yeah, you had a comment on your video too, like, I had fun with this, or I got fancy or something. I don't remember what it was, but you looked
So, you should never do the strats I'm doing for this level. It is way too risky.
Not recommended, but it is very fun.
It's fun, though.
Galaxy Splice cheating, yes, this is not a valid official run, just to say that up front for transparency. This is cheated, but that's okay because we're not submitting it to the leaderboard. And I think we will notice given the incredibly obvious splicing if someone does attempt to do so.
Yep.
Alright.
Okay, so in this level we are not getting the mushroom because that's slow. Instead, waiting for the fire bar instead.
Yes.
Cutting that as close as we can and getting lucky with the Bowser pattern and abusing momentum on the platform at the very tip. Bowser was mean and jumped, but it's alright. Doesn't lose that much time.
Very nice. You'll notice
also,
that was my...
guess what the final time of this splice will be.
Feel free to. You have your first hint, which is that it's 2 seconds ahead of my PB, 7 to 8 seconds ahead of my gold split. So it's fast, as it turns out. Yeah. I know, it's like, wait, how even though? Like, that's fine. What we will do at the final time is it's going to be pretty fun.
Yeah.
On to World 2. World 1 went by very, very quickly, just over 3 minutes. 3 minutes, 1 second is the time on the timer, by the way.
Alright, 2-1. Oh yes, swimming. So there's one thing I'll quickly explain here about this. So you can see my thumb, and I have my, and you can actually see my inputs this time. And my thumb is going to alternate between the two jump buttons to mash really fast. Effortlessly, in quotation mark. It still takes effort, but it's much easier than spamming the one button, so that's what I do for this level. Because this IL time is quite tight.
Yeah, trying to actually get that is a nightmare if you're just spamming a single jump button. You do need to use both of them. Thankfully, it comes with 2. There's only 2 buttons, jump and run, and there's 4 buttons on the 3DS, so each of them gets paired twice. Double run button is never useful, but double jump button is useful on exactly that one level. How's the TV? Hello! Hope you're doing well. Hope you're enjoying the run. Alright, 2-2.
Alright, time for 2-2. This is the level with the P-speed flying. So, when I say P-speed flying is... I'm going to get the Tanuki in this level, and I'm going to use it to fly to get a P-switch way up high. But I'm going to do a tech to fly at running speed, which is what you saw just before. And that allows us to save about a second, I think it was if I'm recalling.
Dang.
Yeah, saves exactly a second if done optimally, I'm pretty sure.
Nice. Yeah, even the leaf grab at the beginning of that level is super duper clean. That's going to be a recurring theme, though. That is not a surprise at this point.
Yeah. Also, time for stair jump number 2 in this level.
Stair jumps are fun, except when they're not. They're mostly not. You do a bonus stair jump, too, because you do the one in 3-1. Sorry, spoilers.
Yeah.
We're currently watching this level.
Oh, I think there's another one, actually. But it's not a traditional stair jump.
One thing to notice
is you later in the run.
Mario catching up to the shell there. That can be a sign that you've done that section optimally, because the shell gets some of your momentum, from what I found. So if you are catching up to it, it means that you hit it before you started moving to the right, which means you hit it right away. So you had a very tight turnaround. That's been my observation so far. I was just really curious for a long time why it would move differently. I think that's why.
Yeah, I don't know, shells, as in, I don't know, when you kick the shell, like, very dependent on what your speed is. And the same goes with throwing it, I think, question mark. I haven't really tested it.
We don't throw too often in this. 2-4. So this is the most disappointing level in my opinion, because you do nothing here. Look at this. Come on, you've got how many seconds? 30 seconds for this P-switch? You duck twice? Come on, man. This is, if you were gonna record one, this would be the one. It's actually really good though. There's nothing you need to do there. Immediately jumping, getting the early P-switch, because that is pipe RNG. You do have to reset this level when you're doing the IL until you get it. P-switch jump coming
also, best Kaiser trick.
There we go. Very nicely done. If you fail that, you die, so it's very risky for the full game run, but obviously for an IL, you gotta go for it. It's just part of the game. I think you do another one here as well. Yep, there we go.
P-switch drop this time, and super optimal turnarounds for the IL time in this level. It's very tight.
There we go. World 2 down. Gotta go now, Ploxy. Good luck with the rest of your work. Hope you enjoy the video later.
Also split.
I'm listening, I'm listening.
Oh yeah.
I do mine on the audio cues. So, there's plus goal. So it's 2 seconds ahead of goal, 8 seconds ahead of my PB. We're now about 8 seconds ahead of my PB, and, we're now minus 8 seconds off of my gold, and 18 seconds off of my PB. So we're gonna be gaining time throughout. We will at no point lose time unless I screw up the splits, by the way. Just small spoilers on that one. Right, World 3 times. So 3-1, I think, like I said, this is where you put in a bonus stair jump that no one else has done. I don't think I've seen anyone else do this one.
Oh yeah. So I was trying to do very optimally for RTA time. So you're going to see it in just a moment. I'm going to jump on the very edge of this platform to maintain running speed and quickly do a control jump onto the short platform and then avoid the moving back platform to save a few frames.
Generally, we would take the top platform moving backwards, and we would just try to do a single frame jump, but if you miss it from there, it's fine, because you're still on a solid ground. With the stairs, you would crash into them, and it's just not very fun. Easy gold. Yeah, a lot of these golds are going to look easy once you see the perfect run, but I may not ask how many hours of gameplay it took to get to this point.
Alright, this level's fairly straightforward. I have some fun going
yeah, you picked
into the windows?
Interesting routes for this one. Like, I have a pretty consistent route that I follow. I think you get all of the... Oh no, do you get 2 of the Goombas at the end? Yeah, didn't quite get the 3rd one, which is... This level's just a running and jumping level. There's nothing special about it that you can do to save time. You could tie this one at home. This is one of the ILs you could absolutely tie and get the exact same frame that Pengo just did. That only applies to a few levels in this game. That is one of them, though. Alright, 3-4, also pretty chill. Here comes...
Oh, not 3-3 first.
First auto-scroller. Oh, no, it's not! Oh, sorry, 3-3. 3-3 first, thank you. Oh gosh, so the jump at the end... Yeah, do you want to talk about it?
The jump at the end is ridiculous. It is super duper precise.
So with the star, you're going faster than normal?
No, yeah, you can go.
With the star, you're going faster than normal. Look at how close you have to land on that platform. You have to jump from the very edge of that platform up to the top of the stairs, there is no window to do that. You have to land on that exact pixel. And because you're moving with the star, you have less time to do that. Like, you're moving quickly, it's harder to time that one, so it's incredibly impressive to get that. Managed to skip the stairs entirely.
Right. It's also position dependent, so sometimes if your position is really bad, it doesn't happen too often, literally can't make the jump.
Because of course. So a normal any percent
runs...
auto-scrollers one. So a normal any percent, you would normally hit the stairs and just do an extra jump there, but of course, ILs we can be incredibly precise. And by we, I mean Pengo. I've not managed to pull that one off. With the auto-scroller, the key thing to keep in mind is that we will not be getting any safety mushrooms. If you do this level as part of the any percent run, you generally get a mushroom here, because this, all of this fire, generally a good idea to have a mushroom somewhere, plus there's an RNG Bowser at the end. But that does cost you real time. So one of the other things to note is that Pengo did specifically redo certain ILs. These are not actually all the ILs that you'll see on the leaderboard, because some levels there's a faster route in real time than there is in the individual level. Which makes things interesting.
3-3 was the first instance of that, I think. Wait, no, 1-4 and 3-3 are both instances of that, not being the one I have submitted on speedhop.com.
Oh, I need to split. I'm remembering. Alright, we're now up to about 20 seconds ahead of my PB. This is just, again, saving clean time on World 3. That's hard to do, because World 3, as you can see, is generally just very fast and run and hold right. Like 3-1 is just hold right, 3-2 is pretty straightforward, 3-3 straightforward, and then 3-4 is an auto-scroller. So the fact that you can save 2 seconds off of what's a really straightforward level is very impressive. Is there no possible time save with this theory?
Yes, there is time save, but I'm pretty much the only person who knows where all the time save is.
It's very impractical at this point to improve from here, and this is already past what would reasonably be something someone would go for at any percent run, at least with where the game is at now. Like, maybe 5 years from now we get so good at this that we always do these strats, but for now, a lot of these aren't ones that you would even incorporate into a full any percent run because they are far too risky to do. This level is not an example of that. This is another run and hold to the right level. You can also tie this time. It's just there. The next one, however, I don't believe.
4-2. Is that the flying one?
Oh, 4-2 might be the cape. Yeah, it's cape and then propellers. So this one's actually pretty straightforward. I'm just excited for World 5, honestly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking about right now.
I'm going to quickly explain something about flying. So when you're flying, you want to be in this swooping down, this swooping animation as soon as possible. So you notice at the start I cut my flight really closely to the pipe in order to save as much time as possible. This is a recurring theme throughout the level where I'm trying to stay in that animation for as long as I can.
You get all the cheering, all the coins collected, but you do have to get enough height to get over the pipes at the end, right? You can't stay down there, you have to be able to clear the ending pipes. Finishing it up, coin throw over here. Yeah, there too. That's scary though.
I'm totally ignoring the coins.
You do have to ignore the coins at the end in order to make it work. Successfully grabbing one. Hello, good to see you! I'll say hello, welcome everyone. Feel free to ask questions. We're chilling, we're having fun today, so if you have things you'd like to ask about, feel free. This is, again, a spliced video, so I'm not actively playing the game, so I have plenty of time to look around and see things today. Chill time is needed. Chill time is always needed.
Alright, now for the first serious level, 4-3, we have some tech going on in this level. You'll see towards the middle of the level what's called a propeller cancel. So this is when I go for a semi-solid propeller up, but then cancel my propeller by pressing duck very precisely.
With propellers,
so it won't be in this next room, but the room after that, where this happens.
With propellers, if you see the floating down motion, you are going slow. So you want to always be going up or going without the propeller. So here we go, propeller cancel.
So here's the propeller cancel, right there.
Very nice.
It's very fast.
And here, worth noting that Pengo is on an older version of the game. This trick no longer works if you have a fully updated version, but there is an alternative that you can use.
So what I did just there was what's called a phantom triple jump, or just a phantom jump.
Or a double triple.
That's what it's essentially you get a triple jump from 2 jumps, but you have to do a triple jump first to set up the phantom jump.
Yes. It's really fun.
So it's very situational, but happens to be very useful in this level.
Char playing the game with her mind. I'm super not playing this with my mind. If I was playing with my mind, I'd die all the time because I get too distracted. Any questions or questions about the game? Questions probably about the video/game, but you're welcome to try other ones. You love theoretical best videos? Well, you are in the right place, because we have one of those. Time for 4-4.
Oh yeah, this level has seen quite an improvement.
So most... oh, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Chop.
So most of this is going to look the same as what you would normally see, in that a lot of this is running to the right. There's a little bit of optimization that we've always done, where when you get to a platform that's going to be falling near the end of the level, you want to activate it as soon as possible and run under it as soon as possible, but the real thing to watch out for is the Bowser at the end, which is something brand new. So they're activating it soon, immediately running under, clearing that. You are looking for, I believe it's that 280 pipe entry, so that was very clean. But watch this ending. It's so good. Blew my mind when I saw that. There is a conveyor running underneath Bowser that is intended to trap him in place in the level so that he stays there and you can twirl over him without having to worry about his RNG. Sorry, I almost forgot to split. But it is a right-moving conveyor belt, which does accelerate Mario. So if you can get underneath Bowser just barely with that jump, guess what? You can save some time. Oh gosh, and in fact, that saved 7 seconds over my goal. We're now to almost 30 seconds of time save in just the first 4 worlds. I did not die, by the way, like, in my PB, so this is just pure movement stuff. It's incredible. RTA viability be darned. Yeah, this is one of those examples of, are you really going to go for that in an RTA run? Probably not. I assume it's RNG if Bowser jumps or not, or did you have that consistent?
Yes, it is absolutely RNG if Bowser jumps.
Yeah, so that's
like 30% chance for him to jump.
Not RTA. So watch that we grab the shell here. That's very important. You usually don't see that. There we go. We're just going to skip the entire second part of the level. That's
oh yes, come on.
Sorry, that's Pengo recorded going, oh yes, come on, one more jump, which is awesome. There are a few Pengo jump scare sound effects in this.
Yeah.
Where, understandably, getting a trick like that in IL, I'd be popping off too. So there's a couple times where you will hear past Pengo interject, which is always kind of a fun cameo. But that was one of them. Okay, 5-2.
5-2, okay. So this level has springs, and essentially use the springs to kind of skip the level. We already do this in the speedrun, but there's one jump that we do not do currently in the speedruns, and it's this jump coming up right here to jump directly to the conveyor belt that I found, which saves a second. Maybe a second and a half? Not sure.
We've known how to do that for a while, but no one has attempted to include it in their runs because it is risky at this point to die because you missed one Kaizo trick. And so in general, we take the few second time loss, we'll throw the spring to the right and then bounce off of it as it's an elevator spring at that point to get to the top. Okay, here's 5-3. This one's really cool. Shoutouts to Pengo5 and myself for finding some strats on this. Pengo5 found the P-switch one, I figured out the ending, but we'll talk about that when we get there. So first thing is this completely new strat that you came up with the spring.
Yep. So this, I can take over from here. So this is a max height spring jump. It's not done by dropping, but instead by throwing the spring forwards. And we do a regular spring jump, and now we're going to take this bomb instead of blowing up the wall. We use this bomb to do a spin drop to obtain the P-switch early, and then we use the P-switch to jump over this giant chasm.
We normally get the coin before we go through there, so we can just skip it. No one does that. Pengo5 found it like the day after I got a new IL on this, and it was impressive but messed up. This is my claim to fame on this level. I figured out that if you go through this pipe, it resets the end goal tape, and that saves you time. This is technically slower in real time, but no one wants to do this level twice to get their actual real time record.
I will say this is one of the levels which can be improved significantly. So I think you can save like 6 seconds from not going in that pipe, and there's a different way to do the ending involving waiting to not spawn the goal tape and then doing a midair to catch the first cycle of the goal tape. So that one's a little unoptimal, but
you have to do the P-switch throw, which you saw. So no one's doing that right now. Why do we show that there's to prove used? Yes, this is just how Pengo's recorded. So with our community, like when you see me running, you don't see my hands on screen, and that's just because I have a capture card. But capture cards are not cheap to get, and so not everyone in the community has one, very obviously. And so this is one of the ways you can record is just by pointing a camera at your 3DS. And in this case, sometimes you'll see Pengo's hands on screen, you can actually see the input, sometimes you won't. It's not that it's required or not required, that's just how the recording was set up that day.
Usually I try to keep the screen as much on screen as in my recording as possible, but on specific levels I also have my hands as well, if there's something interesting going on.
Yeah, our community requirements, it just needs to be that we can actually see the end time. I think that's the only thing we require for ILs right now. So as long as that top right corner stays visible, like, we're actually fine. You don't need to show much else. Ideally, you do show the entire screen, you do show the entire thing. I split again, don't I? That was 5-4.
Yep. Also, very important to kill all 3 of those Bowsers. Otherwise, he causes a tantrum and that loses like 4 seconds or something.
It's not great. So notice that 8 seconds against my gold splits got saved there. That's pretty much all that 3-3 time save. And then we're up to 45 seconds ahead. It's just gonna keep getting faster. Oh.
Yeah, World 5's crazy.
World 5. Since World 5 is where we introduce carrying springs, it's where we introduce Kaizo tricks. And so by nature, it starts to really heat things up in terms of the speedrun. Even casually, 5-3 is, or even any percent normal speedrun, which looks casual compared to this, is really intense on 5-3 with the different tricks you can do. Alright, notice the very edge of the spring is what was grabbed there. That's super important to get that as soon as possible. You'll see that again right there. The ending of this, I think, was pretty much what we normally do, which is fun, but...
Yeah.
Grab a mushroom, go through the fireballs, and then jump under the spring. So springs do slow you down, so skipping that last one, that's the only one we can sort of skip through while still using the platform that's underneath it.
Yeah, not too much else to say about this level.
Oh, just seems serious. The level select is a big screen, then we get the thumbs per level. Yeah, so we explained this a little bit earlier, but for anyone joining in now, the in-between level screens are actually my gameplay. Because my system has faster load times, and so in order to show a theoretically optimal run, we wanted to show the theoretically optimal load times as well. So that's why it's switching between the 2 different perspectives, basically. After watching your version of this level, I went back and changed my strategy so I could jump on Goombas the entire way across, and it's been too much fun.
Yeah, I see. Yeah. It's annoying because there's no easy just do one full jump and it works setup as far as I know, so you have to do some sort of control jump.
Yeah. There's some dumb jumps you can do. There's really dumb strategies for that one because there's so much variety. And here we get to 6-3. So immediately we jump at the beginning, get across the chasm before anything moves, and that's the first part. There is, I guess this is a platform scroller, so for anyone who hasn't heard that term before, basically we are locked in by the fact that we need to stay with this platform. The level is also an auto-scroller, so that just makes things very interesting. But what's going to happen is because we're staying with this platform, at the end of this section, we get to do one death-defying jump to skip to the transition to the next section before the level would normally get us there. So that's what we're going to be looking out for. But we have another, I don't know, 30 seconds of donut balancing before we get to that. This is one of the longer levels of the game.
I do not want to put the spiny shellman on at all because I'm going to use it at the end of the section for this a mid-air spin jump from the bumpers to the ending platform of this subworld. And so I also had to up-throw the shell to be able to carry it because I can't just grab it normally because of needing to spin jump on the bumpers and not wanting to put the shellmet on.
Yeah, once you're bouncing on the bumpers, I don't think you can... Oh, sorry.
There we go. Just barely making that. So essentially, once you're on the bumpers, you can't re-spin, so you have to spin off of the regular ground first. Yeah, and you don't want to duck either, because that will also cancel your spin.
Yeah, once you're on the donuts, they like to keep the same type of spins, or same type of jump. So if you want to switch it up, you have to land on one of the salt platforms again.
Yeah.
Now we're just at the end of... We're not at the end yet. There's still more level to go, but the only other thing is then getting to the goal as soon as possible, but this one, the platform scrolled to the goal before it appears on screen, so even without any fancy speedrun tricks, you can get pretty close to optimal. Now the thing is, when you're on the donut blocks, you're bouncing. You cannot not bounce on those things. That's just how they work. And in order to get to the goal tape, you actually need to land on the donut block as it spawns in. So I don't know if you had a particular pattern you used for this, or if you just sort of went for it each time.
No, I was very specific for this one. Okay. I essentially bounce on Koopas to line it up every time. So you'll see I'll just wait till a certain point and then I'll jump straight to the Koopa Troopers. I'm pretty sure.
I think that's the
end. And then bounce on them to line up the goal tape.
Nice. So you can see there it was falling towards the donuts as the goal appears, so you could get it right away. If you miss that, you bounce up and you have to wait to fall again to hit the goal tape the second time through. But it's difficult to know what the timing is if you don't actually go through and figure out a pattern for it. here comes 6-4, which is very fun because this is one of the highest actions per minute in this entire game, just because you constantly get to bonk your head into a ceiling. Let's go.
So, what to say about this level?
If you hit your head on the ceiling, it's fast. So every time we're ducking in these small areas, we are hitting our head in the ceiling at Pengo is, because that's faster. Here, this is a very uncommon thing to do. You do have to slow down in order to skip those bottom springs, so it's very difficult. It saves barely any time, but it does look cool, so you get points for that. Alright, and with that, that is the end of World 6. I clicked on the live split to make sure I actually split this correctly. There we go. Another 10 seconds off of gold. We're almost at a whole minute ahead. Again, in just World 6. We're not even close to halfway yet. And that would be like an absolutely ridiculous pace if this was, you know, a real run. Again, it's not, but it's really fun. I do apologize. The audio gets weirdly muddled here. There was an issue where I was using the same template that I used for the community best run, and for some reason it got corrupted, and I didn't realize that until I'd already finished editing everything together. At this point, it would be too much to go through and redo all of these in-between segments. So occasionally you'll hear like a let's go, like a little doubled audio, but that's the only spot where it's pretty bad is the end of World 6. So do apologize, but we're back on. Time for some chain chomps.
Yeah, not much to say about this. However, for the chain chomp pixel art section, you want to go around the chain chomp. That's faster. And I also break the brick block because that's apparently slightly more optimal than going around the brick block.
It's also a lot safer. I've liked doing that in my practice better than I've liked going around it. Going around, there's always a chance that you miss some stuff because you're trying to stay on the edge of the cloud platform, or you can stay more in the center of the cloud platform if you're trying to break through. A little bit extra safety. Alright, another auto-scroller. This time...
which is this one?
It's the stacked enemies one. This is one of those examples I love to say if people are like, oh, you know, that's not a real Mario level. Like, yes, you see this sort of mess in community-made Mario Maker levels where there's just a bunch of enemies stacked on top of each other. And a lot of time that's dismissed as Mario Maker mess, right? Like, oh, that's just people being a mess. Well, no, Nintendo did this too. Now, did they do it very carefully and with a lot of planning and a very clear goal in mind for this level's outcome? Yes. But they still stacked a bunch of enemies on top of each other. Just want everyone to know that. And here we go. Very importantly, off to the left, it's Bob!
Ah, yes.
This is Bob. Bob is the best character in this game. Bob the Mushroom gets to follow us through this entire level. It's the longest anything is on screen besides Mario himself. It's absolutely fantastic. Just look at this guy going, cheering you on, being a wonderful companion. This is one of those games where like Peach is kidnapped, but she doesn't send you letters or pie or one-ups or anything. Like, this is it. You got Bob. I hope you're happy. Okay, the end of the level, we are going to optimally jump as soon as possible into this end. So I don't know what you use as a cue. I use the timer, and there we go. Landing right as it comes on screen.
Yeah, I used the zigzag on the edge of the screen there.
Ah, okay.
That lines it up pretty well.
Maybe start to that, because sometimes I forget what my timer is. I mean to ask those Grado headphones. I don't remember what type of headphones these are. Can I find out quickly? They do say Grado Labs on them. Yes. I've answered the question. Okay, so this one's super fun. You'll notice we don't get the Shelmet. Watch the route that we take through the ending. This is possible. I have been able to replicate it consistently, and it's so much fun to do, but it's a little precise. That first Hammer Brother is random, but look at this. Just, yeah, no, why don't we skip everything?
Yeah, we just go on top of the screen and we can't get hit. It is a bit random though, because if you're unlucky with when the Hammer Brush brings out the hammer as you peek back in the screen, you can die.
Thankfully, you can get
but
it. Like,
it is fun.
More often than not. And it avoids having to do the stair jump at the end. Normally, if you're doing that level, you do need to do a stair jump to do it optimally, but you don't have to do it on that one if you go over the top and just don't deal with the stairs anyway. Alright, 7-4. This one's a pretty standard movement, obviously going to be fast. Going to skip the checkpoint. Again, checkpoints give you a mushroom, so getting them takes half a second of real time for you to power up. So optimally in RTA, you do not get any of the checkpoints. Of course, we do get some of the checkpoints in RTA because it's safe, but there you go. Nice, clean checkpoint skip right there. You ready to discuss some of your left it? You're great to see. Oh, thanks! I'm not running today, though. This is Pengo's IL compilation. I put this together, but this gameplay is from Pengo, who is on comms with me. Let me make sure I split real quick.
Hello!
Hello! You're here! Ta-da! Alright, we're now officially a minute ahead. That was another few seconds saved. Not too much... Not too much time saved in that world because there was no, like, huge big skip deviation in terms of time from what we would normally do with any percent, but obviously like clean movement still pays off. You still get faster if you have like that precise movement. Everything's lined up really well. GG Pengo, thank you for saying GG's to Pengo. Pengo did do a great job.
Yeah, thanks, appreciate it.
Alright, into World 8. This one's always exciting for me because this is where I used to run to. Like when I was first doing this game, I'd stop at the end. But here we go, propeller level, yes.
Yep.
Again, immediately
there's one
spinning
alteration.
Down. Go ahead.
There is one alteration where I'm going to do a controlled triple jump. This is kind of like a stair jump, in order to barely not bonk it all in that section, be able to do it hold right. Also, triple jumping off the conveyor belt to conserve the speed from the conveyor, and that's the level.
Very nice. That one's a fun one. I like that level a lot. It just feels fun to go fast in it, because it's just got enough speed boosting that you're like, yeah, I nailed that. Alright, 8-2. This one, I should just grab my notes. This one is Buzzy Beetles. So you do a different thing at the beginning. Normally we ride the first Buzzy Beetle up. If you actually do this series of jumps though, you can get to the top without having to do that, but it does require a lot of momentum to make that cloud jump, so that's why that's a very interesting way to do it.
Yeah, that jump's really, really tight.
And now we get to see Pengo showing off by doing mid-air ground pound cancels with a boot on.
Yeah.
Which is unnecessary but fun.
Spoiler alert, there is a bit of mucking around in this run.
There are
I do like
auto-scrollers
to be entertaining in the auto-scrollers.
Yes. That's a classic part of speedrunning, right? Is you gotta do auto-scroller swag. Everyone does them a little bit differently. There it is. With this one, the top route is faster in both real-time and in-game time. Normally, like, the alternate routes, if they're close in time, you don't tend to do because going through the pipe takes up time, but this one saves, I believe, 7 seconds, and the pipe in total costs you 6 seconds, so you do save, like, 1 second by going this route instead of the bottom route. Bottom route being much safer, but slower.
This IL saves 2 seconds with this route because of the ridiculous jump at the start.
Nice. Also important that we got those 2 mushrooms. That makes it 100% run, too.
Yep, so this is the 100% requirement for this level as well. So 2 for 1 for that.
There are a few levels where you can get the perfect any percent time alongside the perfect 100% time, which is pretty fun. Alright, 8-3 is our next auto-scroller, but this one is the fast auto-scroller with like a gajillion screen transitions. And what that means is that we're going to be looking for every single one of those screen transitions to be optimal. What you're looking for is the pipes should only be halfway on screen when we cross them, so that'll be the first one to look out for. Or a little over halfway. Do you use different visual cues for this one, or do you use the same ones that we did? That looks like the same one. This is
I used different visual cues. I mucked around myself because I found the visual cues laid out by Polonksy, I think, who pioneered the visual cues for this level, were not precise enough for what I wanted, how optimal I wanted to be.
Oh,
and
check
so
out this
I pretty much made my own.
That P-switch, you can just spin jump off of it. You don't have to do throwing it, jumping on the ceiling, whatever you did there, but it looks cool that way.
Yeah, it is just, I did do that to save time.
Because
it's a P-switch drop.
Ah, okay. Technically, you can get momentum off of jumping off the P-switch like that, which is, I assume, what happened there. You learned up to World 6? Nice! Making great progress. I wouldn't recommend doing all of these things as you're learning, but this is a really great way to see what's possible. There we go. Good to go on 8-3. Alright, 8-4. Pretty standard level. We are going to get the star for this one. The star sometimes looks like it'll be slow because we'll see us go out of the way to activate it and then have to jump back up and around to collect it. But the star really does increase your speed to the point where it saves time overall throughout the level.
Alright, I might get a bit nerdy here, but
Go for it.
Mario's usual running speed is 3 pixels per frame in this game. In the original SMB1, it's like 2.5 pixels per frame, but when you have the star in this game, it increases from 3 pixels per frame to 4 pixels per frame. And so for every frame, you're essentially moving 1 pixel further. And this is the stair jump I was alluding to earlier.
Okay, it's not technically a stair jump, but it was very clean jump up the stairs. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
that is really, really solid move at the end. Usually you will bonk on the stairs, because again, you're moving faster than normal with the star, so usually you don't have as much time to jump for that one. 8-5, the ending to this one is different than what you normally see. The beginning will look pretty similar to what you might have seen in either previous ILs or in the Any % run. So there, you'll want to be landing exactly halfway between the spikes and the block. That's pretty optimal.
Also, you noticed I ran all the way to the spikes. This is to spawn that brick block there earlier.
That's what.
So I manipulated that.
Because I was looking, it's like mine does not work that way. Jeanette, thank you so much for the read, Jeanette. Jen, hope you're doing well. Welcome everyone for Jen's stream. We're doing something special today. On commentary with me, I have a guest, Pengo5. Pengo5 has recently done a complete sweep of every single IL in this video game, all 100 of them. This video is a collection of those to show what the theoretical any % time would be with those times. So that's what we're watching and talking about today. Joined just in time for our next auto-scroller.
Yeah.
Also, shout out to
not
Jen.
much to say here. It is another 100% an any % time because it can be. It's pretty trivial.
I also have to give a special shout out to...
It's essentially an auto-scroller.
I have to give a special shout out to Jen. Jen helped me do commentary the first time I did this run for a GDQ event. And that was really special, and I still really appreciate that. And so, thank you so much. Oh gosh. Hope your stream was good. Welcome. Welcome everyone, have your fun. Ah, split. I was slightly late on that, it's fine. So what we're comparing against is my PB. I'm currently 2nd place in this game. I'm not too far off of world record. And we're seeing just how much faster this run is than what a human actually does if you're doing the entire run end to end. So we're already a minute ahead of my best run ever. My best run ever did not have death. So all of this time save is like execution, movement, and of course some really cool strats. So plenty of fun things to go around. Into World 9. World 9 I feel like is a little bit more chill than World 8, starting off with another auto-scroller with the Bowser airship.
Oh yeah. Again, not getting power-ups as per usual, and mucking around as per usual.
Normally that question mark block, it does have... Oh yeah, you're off screen. That's something you like to do in the auto-scrollers, is just not be on screen. Which is fun. You can do that by using one of the solid objects to push you off to the side. Of course, doing that using the question mark block. Now, normally, we use that question mark block to get a mushroom. There is a Bowser Jr. at the end of this level. He's always in a rude spot. While you can get around him without a mushroom, as you will see us do, it's generally safer for the full any % run to get the mushroom and use it to just damage boost through him, so you don't have to worry about where he's located. But again, in real time, that does cost half a second, and we're looking at crispy clean ILs, so that's not going to be something you'll see.
Yeah. Also, I'm pretty sure you are unable to avoid this Bowser Jr. holding right, no matter what pattern you get.
He's always in the way.
Because Bowser Jr. instantly turns around the moment you get behind him. And so there's one pattern where he shoots a fireball and stands still. Even though it looks like he's going to shoot it one way, he then turns around instantly, shoots the other way, and dead.
Rude. Awesome. Alright, 9-2, we get the Boo House, which is very adorable. Key thing here is going to be 1 frame jumps to never slow down to the conveyor belt. You only have to do 2 of them if you jump really high, but that's the main thing. There is a right moving platform that will land on as well. Ideally, you just run onto it from that boo, and then ta-da! That's it. That was the whole level. This is one of those aesthetic levels that isn't super challenging to speedrun, but is very fun. If I'm looking down, I'm looking at my handwritten notes again, so I can talk intelligently about the level coming up. 9-3 is one of the more execution-heavy levels. This is a fun IL to challenge for if you want to just showcase your movement, especially in 3D, because this is just all wall jumps, all execution, super clean.
Also, this is the last, as in this was the 100th IL I got, so this is the last one I officially got. Hence, it's very recent. And lots of optimal movement. So generally trying to cut the wall jumps really short, because Mario's not quite at full speed after he wall jumps. And also making this burner cycle is really tight.
Yeah.
I make it look easy, but it is not easy.
Out of all of us who run this game, only Juice goes for that cycle, and that's because he was the one who first managed to make that cycle work. So it is difficult. You'll notice every single corner has to be cut so cleanly in order to make it through fast enough to make that cycle happen. And even then, you have to do a small jump, because if you do too high of a jump, you can still get caught. It's rough. 9-4 is a level that you had to record pretty quickly, just because this is one of those levels that has a different route between the IL and the any %, because the IL you'll go through a pipe at the top of the screen, but it's not faster in real time because the pipe transition again knocks 6 seconds on between going in and coming out. So for this one, we just sort of run through. There it is.
Also jump off that question block because I can.
So technically my date on this is different. Again, we talked about this earlier, but some of these are not the ones you'll see on speedrun.com because these are re-optimized for real time as opposed to for in-game time, which is what the leaderboard uses for ILs, but it's a pretty free one to get in real time, so not too hard to redo. 9-5.
9-5.
Auto-scroller. This is the airship one. Of course, with any auto-scroller, we get to see what Pengo's personal style of fun is for how to make it through this level while having fun. This alt thing you had to re-record as well, by the way, right? Because you had gone through the key door and done that strat for the IL.
Yeah, I did.
And that is slower in real time, because the key doors also cost time to go through in addition to the pipes. The key door strat is interesting though, because if you do not use the key door strat, yeah, showing off there, you can still get to the IL time if you have a mushroom. Because large Mario with the mushroom gets to the flag exactly 1 frame sooner than small Mario does when holding right on this level. 1 frame, and that happens to be the exact frame difference between the IL record and the next second on the timer. The only reason I know this fact, but that's why the door strat is kind of fun, because you can say small Mario, go through the door, recycle through the door, and it'll advance the screen transition, so you can get to the flag sooner, but that's not faster for real time, so instead we get to see this. I noticed you didn't get the 1-up though. There is a secret 1-up to the left over there.
Yeah.
It's not necessary when you're doing else either.
I don't think I remembered it was there.
I always forget.
I was just kind of like, oh, let's just redo this real quick.
Right? It's an auto-scroller, it's fine. Getting the red coins is fun. I do this when I play at this level, even in a full any % run, even though they're not required, but that's just because that's how I stay out of trouble. If I were to try to freestyle this much, I would likely end up dead because I'd try something stupid. So I always get the red coins so that I at least have a route that I know I'm taking and I don't end up going for fancy jumps that aren't necessarily a good idea. But of course we can show off with whatever we'd like to do.
Yeah.
In fact, this is my favorite song in the game.
This one should be finishing up.
There you go. So you see that I have a key on the, like, this is one of those examples of the splices being slightly different. When I play this level, I do get all 4 or all 5 red coins, so you can see that when we switch back, Mario suddenly has a key. There are a few other places where Mario will suddenly look different when we switch back to my version of the run versus Pengo's ILs. There's 2 PE names in our community. Pengo's ILs. And that's because sometimes I just have different routes that are safer. So grabbing the shell here is important. Also, watch that we get a boost off of the shells that comes out of the cannon there. Very, very difficult.
Yeah. And then finally we use the shell to avoid a conveyor belt jump.
Yes.
Barely saves any time, but it's a very clean level done like this.
Much more consistent that way. So you can get the same ending, basically, by doing a jump off of the conveyor belts, but you have to make sure it's a triple jump, I believe, and it has to be a frame-perfect jump to avoid getting slowed down by the conveyors. Really difficult to do, way easier to throw a shell and just land somewhere on that shell, so that's definitely the preferred strat. This one's very nice and clean. Fun fact, I wasted so much time trying to figure out why I was slow on this IL because I forgot that if you're holding an item, you swim upwards, and that means that you swim down slow. You'll notice that the POW gets dropped immediately upon entering the pipe. That's because it would slow down that one water section if you continue to hold it. Because of
also, fun fact, releasing the POW makes you kind of drown? That's not the right word, but okay, go down faster as well. So, so you want to actually be holding the POW entering the pipe as well, for even more optimization.
Very nice. Alright, 9-8, you've got a couple fun jumps. This is another platform scroller, so we've got some cool skips that we can do.
Yeah. So this is an IL specific one, so I'm gonna damage boost a bit. This is slightly slower than the previous splice, which was done by Pengo5, but the strats are totally different.
One thing to notice is these 2 platforms, if you're playing without speed strats, normally are adjacent to each other if not on top of each other. The distance between that first platform and the second is representative of how much time was just saved there. And that'll happen again here. Usually they're on top of each other, like the fact that they're going to be split in any shape or form is an indicator of how much time you're saving. Yep.
Not much else to say about this level. Just lining things up and jumping.
Jump through things. Yeah, the ending pretty straightforward at that point as well. Just one more, let me get some speed off of this fast lava lift, and there we go. So you notice that I still have my mushroom at the end of the original run that this was recorded on top of. Let me go ahead and split. There we go. that saved 10 seconds off of gold overall, and we're now almost like a minute and a half ahead. So lots of time save happening in the last few worlds. Oh, all right. On to World 10, we're getting close to halfway point. 10-2 is the 44th level in the run, which marks the halfway point. Generally is close-ish in terms of time.
But as we get further into the levels, the more complicated the levels get and the more interesting routes there are, is the other thing.
Alright, this is the level where you get to go left, so heads up on that. This is unusual for a Mario game, but we do get to go left here, just pre-warning everyone. A lot of the jumps here do end up being a little particular to get in between the spinies without hitting either one of them, obviously. Especially that last gap, that's incredibly small, very difficult to get through. The next part of this level is hold right and run, there's no real time save, and the final thing you'll watch us do is as we go through the next section, there's a set of spikes to our right that we don't want to hit, so we won't hold right as soon as we go through the pipe. We're looking about where that cloud is. That's when we start to move, and that's how we cut the corner. Oh, sorry, it's munchers instead of spikes, but that's what we're looking for on that angle there.
Yeah. I also found for that visual cue specifically, the perfect time to hold right is one block above the cloud.
Nice. I just like the clouds there, because the cloud gives us at least something to measure off of instead of trying to count blocks down from the top or something.
So helpful.
Alright, 10-2, more boots. This one gets pretty fun. Notice no mushroom, by the way. Normally we get a mushroom for safety at the end, because there is some RNG Hammer Brothers, but of course, you know, heck that, I'm not doing that one. Very nice small boot jumps. It's hard to land the boot close to the platform and get those like optimal climbing jumps, but of course, again, if you're really good at the game, you can do that. Here, going for the strat where we're going to ditch the boot, use that to land perfectly on the platform and jump as soon as we land to get in the pipe, like, in no time at all. We weren't even really on screen for most of that. Oh, and showing up with a jump to put the corner too right there at the end. Like, that saves so little time, but it technically saves time. Here's the RNG section.
Here, well, really tight there.
Very nicely done. So normally we get a mushroom so we don't have to worry about the Hammer Brothers at the end, but again, if you're going for the IL, it's technically faster. Alright, 10-3 is going to be one of the levels from Super Mario World. This one's pretty straightforward, but the very last jump is surprisingly tricky. With my strat, it involved RNG. I assume it did with yours as well. The final Hammer Brothers? Next to the gold tape on this one.
Yes, it is RNG dependent. With the strategy I'm using that is really, really risky, I want the Hammer Bro to go forwards. Usually you want it to go backwards to make it way easier to avoid the Hammer Bro holding right.
So watch this.
But no, I make the Hammer Bro go forwards because you can barely squeak under that hammer and still get the top of the flagpole without waiting. Well, the gold tape.
It is difficult. I do an ascending jump off of that one, but hilariously, you don't actually get a faster IL time because the way that the level or the second boundary works in that level, you actually tie, even if you go around it and jump up afterwards. Yeah. But it's way cooler to do it that way, and it's technically faster in real time. Alright.
Alright, 10-4. So there's something brand new here, and it's killing that Bowser. As we mentioned earlier back in 5-4, at the end of the level when you touch the axe, Bowser likes to have a tantrum, which costs 4 seconds. So we're going to avoid that tantrum. Unfortunately, Bowser stays on screen for the entire level and is present at the very end of the level. So what we need to do is actually kill him. And that is very, very hard to do.
Yes.
Because you barely have any time before the end of the level, and you need to deal 40 damage to Bowser.
So here we go.
So I'm going to do as much damage as I can with Yoshi, and then I'm going to switch to Fire Mario because you should deal damage much faster. However, you can only deal damage to Bowser when he's really close to the ground like this. So this becomes a very stressful game of being as close to Bowser as you can to be able to spam fireballs, while also platforming.
And Bowser has no desire to cooperate. You can see he's still shooting back at us. So that is incredibly difficult to do. Very fun challenge if you want to try for it, but very difficult. Lumpy, thank you so much for the raid. Hope you had a wonderful stream. Good to see you. We're gonna enjoy. Oh, I need to split really quickly. Hold on a moment.
Yes, what?
There we go. Over a minute 30 now. Pretty much just joining in. We are showcasing a compilation of ILs from Pengo, who's on the call with me. Pengo's recently swept all 100 individual levels in this game, and we are currently watching a splice I put together to show theoretically, if this was an actual any % run, how fast would it be? So far the answer is very fast. It's over 1.5 minutes faster than my PB, and we are just over halfway through. And I promise you it gets much faster than that. It's gonna be fun. Alright, 11-1, this is where we get Yoshi. You do some interesting stuff here where you bring a spring and do an extra Kaizo trick at the end to avoid doing a stair jump.
Yes. Also, jumping as soon as I get Yoshi to save time, accelerating as well. Beating that blue spike top as well. And wall jumps to optimize the conveyor belt section too. And then I also have to do spring wall jumps to bring the spring for the end of the level.
Because you can just sort of climb the spring elevator up, but it is much faster if you can do exactly what Pengo just did and sort of jump the entire way up. Of course, getting maximum time on that conveyor belt, staying in the air as long as you can afterwards, and here comes the spring jump. Ta-da! You can instead do a, you know, pixel frame perfect stair jump at the end, but it is awful to do this IL over and over and over and then fail that ending jump over and over and over. So I think that's a really neat strat. I definitely have to try seeing if I can do this one. Fast. It is fast. This is a very fast run.
Yes, stair jumps being at the end of levels can be quite brutal.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Alright, this is another one where the real-time route, I believe, differs from the IL route. I think we... Or no, is it fast enough now to go cape no matter what?
Yeah, it's just always get the cape.
Okay.
You'll notice I ran left at the start, which is very unusual. This kind of already happened, so I'll quickly summarize. I go left to get enough speed to get P3 before jumping to hit the cape, and then I fly off of the question mark block, which is a brand new strategy.
Yes. Normally...
It is quite finicky, though.
Normally we run to the right, immediately activate the question block, get the cape, and then run back to the left and fly off of that side of the screen. But as you'll notice, that's a whole back and forth as opposed to small detour to go up right away. That was a whole motion. I'm trying to see if I could do both at once. So like, top is Pengo strat, bottom is normal strat. Pengo does this, and so he's slightly behind getting here, but then he jumps before we can take off. I don't know if that worked whatsoever, because I was too focused on my own hands to see if that was even on camera. I tried to model that. It's really fast.
So shout out to the only mid-air in the run there, mucking around in the auto-scroller.
Just unnecessarily. Yeah, this is another one of those auto-scrollers, so we're just kind of chilling, doing show-offy things, because we can. It was on camera! Ha! I demoed this. Did I demo it effectively? Who knows, it's fine. Hopefully the point was conveyed that it was fast. Oh, I killed the chain chomp. I do too. I was still a little bad.
Yeah, this is also 100% as well, so I killed the chain chomp to make it easier.
This is 100%? Did you get all the coins in the first section?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, nice. Sorry, 100% on this one is get all the coins and jump on all the dry bones at the end. So all the coins need to be collected. I think there's 100 of them, question mark. And then you need to hit...
I think so.
You didn't get the... Oh, there you go. It's like you didn't get those. Go back. Complaining about your pre-recorded run. You did all the dry bones at the end. I forget how many of them there are, but there are a lot, and so we will see us get all of those then as well if this is in fact a 100% run. This is another one of those auto-scrollers where you can pretty straightforwardly get both the any % and the 100% times at the same time, so no real reason not to when you're recording ILs. Very nice. Like how excited Mario is every time he gets a flagpole. Just Mario time! Like, I wish I had that much confidence in myself. Okay, this one is really complicated, really fast. Do you want to explain the beginning of it?
Oh yeah, this level.
Yes.
Yes, I will. So, essentially, we're gonna skip this level. Is the short answer. Usually in any % we take the right pipe to go on the fast-moving lift, but instead we're gonna take the first one.
Ground pound cancel
to grab pound cancel back into the pipe, really precise, to smuggle a extra spiny shellbit in, and then we're gonna take the slow-moving platform because we can ignore it by jumping on all the enemies.
The slow-moving
and then do a really precise spin jump on these chain chomps. I also need to be careful not to load this chain chomps down the bottom too early, which is what makes this more precise than it looks. And that's the level.
I need to split really quickly. This is always the one I forget. Yeah. Like almost like 17 seconds saved off of my personal gold splits, and we're now up to 1:48 ahead.
Wow,
Some things to note there. You may go like, what did you use the spiky shellnet for? You just sort of threw it away. This is one of those, you need to be spin jumping to get across all those enemies. And the reason we take the slow pipe, the first one, is because that actually is the furthest along in the level. So it lets us get right to where the enemies are so we can spin jump across them safely, including those chain chomps. The problem is, if you are spin jumping, you cannot also twirl. And you saw that we needed to twirl to make it from the final enemy to that final pipe. So throwing the spike resets what type of jump we're on to a normal jump so we can then twirl in midair. So the reason we go into the pipe at the beginning and back out is to spawn a second spiky shelmet, specifically so at the end of the level we can switch from spin jump to normal jump so we can twirl to the end. It's so cool, really complicated, but very epic. And now we're on Koopa Clown
Pengo5 for crafting strat.
Yeah, Pengo5 was the first one to sort through that. I think we used to do it with a wall jump to get back up into the pipe and a twirl instead of the ground pound cancel, but yes. I remember when I was first watching it, it's like, why do you need the shelmet? And then I tried it, it's like, oh, I see why this doesn't work otherwise. Koopa Clown Car World, though, we're on this one now. 12-2, the very long auto-scroller. 12-2 is the very long auto-scroller.
Yes, it is.
Watch the beginning.
It's also 100%.
Watch the beginning, though.
The beginning's fast, though.
Yes.
I ground pound the block, it's not actually fast, much faster ground pound the block, it's about the same as hitting it normally. And then being very optimal in entering the pipe, because the very start of the level isn't an auto-scroll, so you want to waste as little time as you can.
Some key things that did happen there are a wall jump when breaking through the blocks, so immediately getting up to the top, and then bringing the Koopa Clown car into that 3-wide gap so that you could jump out of it without having to slow down as much. Like, you immediately land on the ground and can recover your speed to keep running. That is really cool, and I need to learn that. As we get to the end of this level, do you want to talk about the Bowser damage and like how you decided to approach the Bowser fight?
Yeah. So, optimizing this Bowser fight was kind of a pain. Because you have 3 options. You have charged Clown Car Fireballs, you have uncharged Clown Car Fireballs, and you can just also jump out of the Clown Car and use your regular Fire Flower. Yes. Theoretically, the fastest way to do the Bowser fight is to spam uncharged Clown Car Fireballs. However, because you have to be so close to Bowser, because only 2 volleys of fireballs can be on screen at a time, it was essentially too hard, and so I caved and used the big fireballs. The reason it was a problem was because of having to deal with the Bowser RNG. Because ideally, also, Bowser is really close to the door as well. So doing charged fireballs was a lot more consistent. For what I do in this IL, well, is that I shoot once at the start of the level to do 1 damage, do 13? Wait, no, 4 full charged volleys to get it up to 37 damage, and then I jump out of the Clown Car with the fire power and do 3 extra shots to get it up to 40 exactly. So it is an exact kill. So even though I said it wasn't fast, it was very thoroughly planned out.
Here we go. This is where you need to watch everything we were just talking about. So there's the first volley, there's the first charge, another charge. You'll notice we're right next to Bowser, optimizing that time. Jumps out, loses the fire flower as that final fireball goes across. Incredibly well done. And we get a stair jump. Oh, you did the turn back. You didn't do the stair, which is fine.
Yeah, I did the turn back.
This level sucks to do over. So you can imagine, it's very long, and so if you do try to wait until you get a very perfect stair jump at the end, it is ridiculous. That is still an incredibly impressive way to beat that. That Bowser fight is really fun to try to optimize, but very frustrating because it is super RNG dependent. It's at the end of a long auto-scroller, so you're tired and it's there. Taka, good to see you! Hope you're enjoying everything today. Alright,
12-3. There's a few new things in this level as well, but they mostly happen at the end of the level. There's one, other than breaking this wall here, there is one thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the pipe to turn around to bounce on the Goomba instead of having to jump on the pipe, which is neat.
Smooth.
I'm also trying to not move up and down too much with the Clown Car, because that's slightly slower than moving directly forward.
Jumping
and
out
this is
the
the first new
there.
strat. And now the second new strat, which I'll just let it play out. But that fireball snipes the paratrooper so that the cannonball falls down and then you can barely jump on the cannonball and barely make the jump.
Yeah, being in the clown car is slower than not being in the clown car. So in general, if there's a way for you to finish the section or the level without the car, you want to avoid it. That's going to come back in an absolutely enormous way in 18-1. Spoilers for that, it's going to be epic. But now we're in 12-4, which is of course the drift course version where we just have to navigate this clown car through everything. This is one of the levels that's closer to standard, just because there isn't a ton you can do. You do make the first cycle there, though, which is great.
Yeah, that cycle's really tight.
Yeah. Usually in any percent, we go for one cycle later on the fire bars at the beginning. Here we go. So watch the corner cutting on this one, and then watch the jump out. That's what we're looking for optimal movement, just barely around those corners, jumping out as soon as it's viable to do so. That one jump at the end on the solid ground is important. It baits Bowser Jr. high enough that his shells do not hit you as you run underneath. You will die if you don't do that. Alright, we're now 2 minutes ahead.
Yeah, that jump was absolutely required for the ending to work.
Yeah, so it was 13 seconds saved on that combination of levels. A lot of that comes from that Bowser fight and the way you handled the bloopers in 12-3. 2 minutes ahead now. Again, feel free to make your guess for what the final time is. I know what it is because I cheated and I checked. Possibly because I wanted to include it in the video and I could not know and edit the video and export it, so. Slight cheating. All right, World 13, Evil World. This one is fun. You actually get to skip doing the propeller. This is not the easiest thing to do.
These wall jumps, I mean, I'm making it look easy, but it is really not easy. Specifically, 10 block wide wall jumps suck because they're just a tiny bit too small for doing 2 air twirls at the peak of your jump, and a tiny bit too big to do 1 air twirl. So I have to do like do the first air twirl early.
Yeah.
And of course, very squeaky clean movement for the rest of the level.
Yes. The fun jump off the end too with the chain chomp underneath the screen. But yeah, if you want a challenge, go ahead and try that wall jump section at home. That one is very difficult to do. I haven't started doing it yet for any percent runs. I'm going to try to learn it at some point, but I still get the propeller from the pipe because you don't want to be stuck there for 30 seconds failing that wall jump sequence.
Oh, threading too.
Yes.
Yes.
You
so
should talk
this
about
is brand new as well. So in any percent, we die 5 times to get an assist item, star, and then choose the level like that.
Which is fun.
Now I'm going to play the level, well, the first half of the level the normal way. However, normal in quotation marks, because there is some spawning shenanigans that are going on. I'm going to get the platform off screen with the P-switch on it to despawn one of the upwards moving platforms, which saves a cycle and saves 6 seconds. Because of how it lines up.
That would have already saved time. We used to wait for this P-switch to do a P-switch jump, but we are no longer doing that. Check this out.
And now for more spawning shenanigans.
So
one of the piranha plants is actually getting spawn blocked by making it go off screen and back onto the screen. However, a P-switch usually can't get past the ending, but we can get past the ending by breaking the Bowser stack.
Is that random? I've been wanting to ask you since the moment I saw that.
Yeah, it's random. The Bowser's jumping at the end is also random as well, on top of all of that.
Oh gosh. So yeah, we used to skip this by taking the P-switch to the left side of the level, doing a P-switch jump over the top in the IL, and again, in any percent we just die 5 times, but that was incredible. I'm so... this trash is so cool.
Yeah.
Alright, pirate level, pretty straightforward. Yeah, go ahead.
I got saved like 10 seconds, if I'm remembering. Or maybe it was like 8 seconds. Which is quite significant in a game where you're just holding right most of the time.
Right? It's impressive. And the fact that that works, that you're able to use the P-switch in those 2 very different ways to get past those ending obstacles is very exciting. You are supposed to use the P-switch to get past the piranha plants. You would normally activate it and then something would fall down on them from above. But you need it for the Bowser, so that's why you have to do some weird shenanigans with the piranha plants in order to keep the P-switch for the Bowser. So it's very creative. I'm impressed by the ingenuity on it. Alright, 13-4 is our next auto-scroller. You did not do 100% at the same time. Okay.
No, I did not, because I wanted to muck around.
Which is fair. 100% for this one involves not jumping through the entire level, which is why I knew immediately that that was not what we were doing. So once again, getting off screen by using a solid object just barely before we would hit the point where we would actually die off screen. I don't know. Do you know how far you can actually get before the game decides?
You can be pretty much 1 block from off screen exactly. Any further, you're dead.
And normally...
So that was very far off screen.
That was very far. Normally you can't get that far off screen just by running. The screen will block you, same as the right side will. But again, if you use a solid object to push you backwards, essentially, prevent you from being pushed forward by the level, then you can make that happen. Just crouching. Trying to do Super Mario 2 moves with a super jump there, but it doesn't work in this game.
Yeah. Okay, I will mention one thing. there is a new time save that was found after I did this IL, which is crouch jumping as Big Mario to enter this pipe is actually faster in real time because entering the pipe animation doesn't take as long. And also shoutouts to walking at the end to line up the ending perfectly.
I came up with that?
Or
I came up with the fact that you can't hold right. But I didn't realize just walking holds perfectly then. That's actually really cool.
Yeah.
Nice. Alright, 13.5. This one's more propeller tech. This is, again, I think one that splits between IL and any percent.
Yep.
I think we get more propeller cancels here, question mark, in the later part. But first thing we do is get the propeller for a propeller level. So there we go, we've gotten it. Congratulations, us. We have some platforms that are moving, so notice we stayed on that right side one a little bit longer because that is moving to the right. We get to completely skip that Koopa. That's really difficult to do, so very nice. Another cancel there. They just sort of are all over the place in this one, and there we go. Nice and clean. I say before the end of the level, but that's because the end of the level is the same as a standard 80% run.
Yeah.
Get a nice triple jump going. Alright.
Also, those propeller cancels are quite difficult, and if you miss them, you're dead.
Yeah, those are very not free. That would not be something you'd see in most 90% runs. 13.6 is really cool, though. You hit an incredibly fast beginning of the level. It's very scary looking. I think you actually react to it during the IL itself, so this one's fun to watch. The setup for it, same as standard, where you're using a Q to know when to run through some fire bars at the or fire jets at the top, but then we get to some really fast movements, so go ahead.
So we have to wait for the burners because they're globally loaded, but after we wait for the burners, we do some wall jumps to save enough time to beat these firebars, but not only beat those firebars, beat the sword that's way up there barely, and skip the checkpoint, all in one fell swoop.
That is some of the cleanest platforming in Mario. It's so good.
That's the bulk of the level, because the rest is the same as usual.
Which is still cool. We're still triple jumping over saws and like dodging Bowser at the end, but like that is the part where if you've run this level before or you've seen the runs of this level before, that's the part that got your jaw to drop. It's so clean. I need to split, don't I? I'm paying attention, chat. I got this. And that was 40 seconds of time save off of my personal gold for that section.
And all 13 alone, damn.
Because, well, yeah, 13.2, you obviously skip a time. 13.3, you don't get the propeller. 13.5, you just have way cleaner movement. And then 13.6, that cycle is impressive. Usually we have to wait. So, yeah, that was a lot of time saved very suddenly. And we're now 2 minutes and 42 seconds ahead of my PB. So, there we go. Time for World 14. This one's an auto-scroller. I think you escape the boo ring much sooner than I do for this one. You just gotta jump through right away like, yeah, I don't feel like doing this. I wait until the end. There it goes.
This is an auto-scroller, but there is stuff to optimize at the very end of the level.
Yes.
So you get given a star at the end of the level. I don't collect it immediately so it lasts the whole time. And you also have you also get a mushroom because you want to ground pound the brick blocks at the end of the level, which are blocking the flag, which lets you get to the flag sooner than you would be able to otherwise. Yeah, one of the annoying things about having the star is actually accidentally clipping into the wall briefly, which halts your falling speed. So I had to, like, intentionally not clip or accidentally as well.
Very nice. Yeah, even though it's an auto-scroller, the way the level is set up, it blocks you from being at the goal right away, so there is a little platforming section right there. That's as soon as you can start this mini platforming section. How you do this ending section determines your final time. Like, that section right there is all of the movement in this level. Very cleanly done, of course. Unsurprising at this point if you've watched for the last 14 worlds, 13 worlds. No shocker that that movement was clean. 14.2 is one of the ones that I think could be tricky to do without dying, but it's fairly standard as far as speedrunning goes. You run, you hold right. The very ending is where we'll see the small optimization. This is the Buzzy Beetle one where they're falling.
Yep.
So mostly just pretty clean movement. One thing to note with these jumps is anytime the Buzzy Beetles are falling, you have less space than normal to do those jumps because you'll see they sort of compress the amount of space that you have that's clear. The very ending here, we have like a pseudo stair climb. That's very, very fast, and then that gets us fast enough that we're on a cycle where we can hop over that Buzzy Beetle without having to wait to go back and forth. If you don't do that ending section fast enough, the Buzzy Beetle's too far to the left on its walking cycle, and you will crash into it instead of jumping on top of it, and that is a deadly thing to do, so don't do that. This happened way too many times. 14.3 is Underwater Crushers, followed by not Underwater Crushers, so there's some really clean mushroom pickups is the first thing to look for here. Well, we have to get into the underwater section first.
Even though we're damage boosting this level, this is still faster in any percent because you move so slowly in water.
Look at how
also
close.
Cutting that floor really tightly as well.
Watch how close on some of these crusher cycles. But yeah, damage boosting is still far faster. Like hitting the leftmost corner to activate that mushroom as soon as possible. And then watch just the movement here to make sure he's at top swimming speed to go through this crusher section. That is very difficult to do. Crushers are very deadly if you touch them. And then the fast section is a mostly hold right and run. You'll notice we skip the checkpoint again. We don't need a mushroom for the ending of this level, so while it's nice to collect in any percent, just to give you a little bit of safety with some of the final jumps, it's slower if you're going for a really optimal time. Very nice on the Goomba. There we go.
Yeah, that's the level.
I feel bad, like, I feel like I shouldn't say, there we go, it's done until it's actually done, but it's like, you're jumping over one Goomba at the end. Like, at this point, you're good.
Yeah.
If you were doing this live, I wouldn't jinx you on it, but like, I know you make that jump, spoilers. And here is the time where if you've been watching the stream since the very beginning for the last hour and you are like, gosh darn it, I could really use a chance to stretch my legs or grab some water, this is your chance. Welcome to 14.4, the longest auto-scroller in the game. While Pengo is going to do fun stuff and make this look cooler than I do, it is still a very long auto-scroller, so feel free to take a break.
Yeah. There is... Other than the pipe transitions between sections, there is one thing we can do to speed up this level. So what we can do is we can not get any power-ups.
Yes.
And also barely skip the checkpoint. So this was in the previous slice that we did. However, in the video that's shown, I do a more consistent version of it, which involved a duck jump instead of immediately coming out of the pipe and wall jumping. However, that's not until another 15 seconds, I guess.
We'll see that after the first pipe transition. So after the first pipe transition, there's a checkpoint. Usually it feels very required. You will always fall into it if you're playing it casually because it's just right there. You follow the pipe immediately onto the checkpoint. But again, getting the checkpoint counts as a power-up. Now, since we don't normally skip this in any percent, we usually do get a power-up earlier on for safety, just because why not? But if you can skip that checkpoint, you never get the power-up that saves half of a second, which is time. So here comes the pipe transition. Watch for this checkpoint skip. I'm also watching for it. Very nice. So holding left out of that pipe.
It also has to be performed very fast because the screen wants to push you into the checkpoint.
The screen is invested in you getting that checkpoint, but it is possible to skip. Very nicely done. It's scary to skip, though, if you're doing a full any percent or marathon run, because now if you die, you have to replay this entire level, and do you see how slow this is? But it's very unlikely that you're going to die in the next part, especially if you don't do what Pengo's doing, and you just do this safely instead of dangerously. This is unnecessarily stress-inducing, but it's fine. It's fine. This is what ILs are for. It's the fun stuff. Oh, you go up there. Nice. Had to murder the 2 extra Goombas, huh? You don't have to go up here, you can go on the bottom section, doesn't really matter. We're waiting for these two to go by, and then the pipe is going to be coming up, that's going to get closer to the end of the level. Safety's for suckers. Safety is a helpful tool in the speedrunner's toolkit, but it is less exciting than some other things. Once again, there's a mushroom on screen. That means we don't want to get it because that would be half a second of time loss, and we just got to the end of this thing. Please don't lose time right now. But all we're waiting for is you can see the final bridge, the final axis coming up soon, which means I need to be ready to split. Sorry the UI popped up on screen for a second because I was trying to make sure I was on the right spot over on my screen. There we go. Another 5-6 seconds saved, under 249, or 249 under right now. There's not a ton of time save in 14 since 1 and 4 are mostly auto-scrollers, 2 and 3 are pretty straightforward, so the fact that there is even 6 seconds of time save is incredibly impressive, but that's why it's lower than some of the other ones. There were no big skips or big tricks in that one compared to some of the other worlds. But, you know, we might see a few things coming up. Next is 15-1, so Yoshi time.
So, I'll explain this one, I guess.
Yeah.
So this is a Yoshi level. The reason we want Yoshi is a bit complicated, but we actually only want Yoshi for the very end of the level. Yoshi's nice to have for the top section of this level too, but we really only want Yoshi for the end of the level to skip having to wait blowing up a bomb that's in the way by going underneath.
And we do go underneath normally with Yoshi, but we do not do it this way. So we normally carry Yoshi a bit longer, use a flutter. Watch this instead. Yep. In case you couldn't see it because it was mostly off screen, Yoshi at that point spit out the shell. And so what Pengo does is he jumps off of Yoshi, hits the ceiling, jumps off of the shell in midair that was just spit out by Yoshi, and uses that to get to the goal. Instead, traditionally, we would flutter with Yoshi instead of trying to do that, which is much safer, still terrifying, but that's an incredibly impressive way to finish off that level. So very nicely done.
Very satisfying too, I will add.
Alright, 15-2. This is another auto-scroller. This is the airship from Super Mario Bros. 3. The key thing with this one is the ending. You'll see that we'll get a power-up, and we want to have a mushroom at the end of this level in order to do the skip correctly. So, because I think Tall Mario does not make it into the pipe because his head hits the ceiling. You'll see what I'm talking about. Basically, the ending of this one is the one where you're supposed to fight Bowser Jr. because you're supposed to steal his Koopa Clown car to get into a pipe at the top right of the screen. That's, I guess, top right from this angle. That's your exit. Of course, with speedrunning, you can get into that top right pipe a couple different ways that aren't the intended way. One would be to use this leaf power to just fly in there. Another one is to grab one of the shells that Bowser Jr. throws and do a shell jump off the right side of the screen to get into the pipe. What we're going to actually do instead, it's very fun. Credit to, I believe Ploxy got this strat, and then I was the first one to get an IL with it, is you actually jump off of Bowser Jr. and off of one of his shells in order to jump straight to the pipe right from the go. But the thing is, only Small Mario can make the jump. Now, if I keep saying only Small Mario, why are we Large Mario? It's because we technically go through Bowser Jr.'s shells at the beginning, so we need to have one Mario height to be able to damage boost, and then Small Mario will be the way we finish it off. But that's why we have to lose part of that leaf power up. We can't keep the whole thing. Jason, how's it going? Oh, Libby and you, thank you so much for the raid. All right, here we go. This is the keys trick that we were talking about. Watch the jumps off of Bowser Jr. and off the shell and straight into the pipe, skipping that entire fight. Can be a little frustrating to get that because you have to do the entire IL in order to make that work. Not very safe for the actual run for any percent, but very fun to do. For anyone coming in from the raid, we're here to raid you, but there's no raid message, so I typed that out instead. That's beautiful. Hey, Jason. Hey, Libby, thank you so much. Hope you had a wonderful stream. For anyone just joining us, I'm joined by Pengo today. Pengo recently swept all 100 ILs in this video game. It is an incredible feat. So what we're doing is we're watching a theoretical any percent run with these ILs to see what potentially the fastest time our community could possibly get to at this point in time would be. Very fun. It's very ahead of my PB, which is awesome. Really enjoying it here. So Pengo's with me on commentary if you'd like to say hello again.
Yeah, hello guys. Yay. Thanks for the raid, and I'm here to join Char and help out with the commentary.
You're carrying it right now. That level you didn't miss much if we were talking through it because that's very straightforward, just running to the right. That is a difference between the in-game time and the real time, because in-game time is actually faster to go through like 6 doors, which is painful but fast. 15-4 though is our next platform scroller, so you know we get some fun skips on this one. If you'd like to talk about what setup you use for the beginning.
For the beginning, what setup do I use for the beginning? I think it's...
Do you remember what
I think it's the position of the back block of the snake.
Okay.
Is what I use to line this up. But also, what if I told you this is probably the level with the most time save left? You can do the skip 5 seconds faster by jumping off earlier.
Spikes? Do you have enough time to get through the corridor with that?
Barely, but you have to like jump off
hard.
Cannonball. It was too hard, so I didn't do it. But for future time save, this is one of the levels that can be better.
So if any of you out there would like to snipe one of the 100 ILs with a new record, you know which one to go after. But this is tricky because that's not the only skip in this level. Here comes the next one. This next one is one of my favorite skips in the entire game. It's super cool. But we're going to be... Do you want to talk about... Sorry, go ahead.
It's a fine.
There it is.
We're gonna see it. Damage boosting and then spin jumping on the flumps, death-defyingly.
The chain chomps. It's really cool to get through. I love that one. It just looks epic. It's all about the first jump. If you time your first jump correctly, you can get through the chain chomps very reliably, but it always looks terrifying, and that first jump is hard to pull off. Here, all we're going to be doing is trying to run to the final platform as soon as possible, so about when that last block falls is one of the options. You can see we barely land on the edge of that platform, and then just get around Bowser, you know, like you do every day. Just skip Bowser. Go ahead and get my split ready. Yeah. I have to manually hit the splits, and I'm pretty bad at remembering too, so I'm trying to remember. Alright, we're now officially over 3 minutes ahead of PB. The best possible time is now 1:45. Spoilers, it's gonna get faster. So there we go. And that was 20 seconds on just World 15, which is only 4 levels long. World 16 is our final 4-level world. That's gonna be the one up next. Starting with 16-1. 16-1, I think the strategy's pretty standard. I don't know that many of us go for the ending though, because the ending is a bit scary. 16-1 is the return of the donut blocks, by the way. So donut blocks again, a little bit finicky to deal with. Depending on where you land on them, you'll get different momentum. So for the speedrun, we're trying to land on basically the top right corner of them almost every time, so that we get that momentum to the right without slowing us down. If we land too close to the center of them, we will lose speed. So right there, that one in the middle is very precise to get across. Here at this section of climbing is difficult to land again on the correct side at the correct distance of each of them, but makes it through cleanly. Here we just have to climb up to the door. This part's pretty chill, but then we get one final little platform scroller, so there is a timing to jump off of the main platform onto these donut blocks so that everything lines up so you can get just barely to the platform on the right and finish the level as soon as possible. Very nice. I kind of keep talking as if you're doing this live, like, good job on that level. It's like, it is a good job, it's just happened, you know, months ago.
It's fine.
But
And I wasn't saying
congratulations
anything,
at
so
them
there's
now.
not too much to say, it's just very clean movement.
Yeah, 16-2, not a ton to set this one apart. It is very fun, because you just get the start and you go fast. The beginning, you can kind of freestyle however you want as long as you don't slow down. So there we go, we've got the start, you get it as soon as possible, and you just run through the rest of the level. You don't get the coins, because why? Apparently. That's a difference. I just have to call it difference.
Also, I do get the boot, which is helpful, because it saves time getting the goal.
Does it actually?
Yes, a few frames.
Wow. Okay, so apparently boot strats are now required. I didn't realize that was for time save. I thought that was just for swag points. Dang. Alright, apparently need to learn boot strats. World 16 is interesting, because it's one of the few worlds that doesn't have any auto-scrollers, so it goes by really fast. The first 3 levels in it are all pretty straightforward as far as the speedrun goes, so you're not going to see massive time saves in the first 3, but 16-4 has way too much to explain in way too short amount of time, so that one's going to be fun.
Yeah.
But this one just kind of running through. Yeah, go ahead.
I think I'll start explaining 16-4 right away then.
Idea.
So, because we are going to be in NSMBU style, we can wall jump, we can ground pound, we can triple jump. That just gives us so many movement options. And so the NSMBU levels become very difficult to optimize.
Yes.
So in other words, they're very technical and have a lot of cool stuff going on in them. So at the start of the level, you're gonna see me do a ground pound cancel to get one block of extra height higher than Mario can usually jump to skip going around the first section, which is right here. Also done on the left side instead of the right side like we usually do in runs. Now, instead of doing a triple jump like we normally do here, we can jump off of the dry bones and get straight into the door here really, really fast. Ground pounding through the conveyor belts.
The dry bones at the beginning is on a cycle going up and down, so if you're not fast enough, it is not in the correct position to make that happen.
Yep. Then it's chill for a while, but then the end of the level is...
We do a POW drop, so one of the things that I normally do is you'll see me get Yoshi in the next section. That is not actually optimal. Getting this POW is optimal. You can drop it in midair and use it as a platform to run off to the right side. You can't jump off of it in midair like you can a lot of other objects, but that is very difficult, and that was a very optimal turnaround. Once again, doing the ground pound to gain a little bit of extra height. These sections are so annoying, but you can get through them without falling in those little gaps. And sorry, now we're at the end with the Bowser and everything.
Yep. So... we have the helmet for a reason, and it's to skip the Bowser at the end. There is a Bowser fight at the end. Nintendo tried to stop us by putting a conveyor belt, but that was very kind of them, because that gives us an extra speed boost and allows us to do this.
Very nice. And that is RNG. Bowser can go a different way and do a different move, and you don't get that to work.
Unfortunately, RNG if you're holding right. Whole time.
It is possible to react to Bowser and either jump over him or go under him based on what movement he does, but it is very difficult. We have started going for it in runs though, because apparently we're ridiculous like that. It's a very painful trick to miss though, because you replay... you have to go back and get the fire flower, and that takes forever to beat Bowser that way. By the way, clean another 25 seconds saved. Most of all of that was that last level. Just that last clean execution, all of those different mechanics and movements, the POW drop, all of that is all the time saved there. So we're now at 3 minutes 45 seconds ahead. We have very cleanly passed world record, by the way. We've been past world record since like World 3 or something.
So World 17 is where it starts. Well, I guess after 16-4 is where this really starts to pick up in terms of difficulty. So, in this next section, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a completely new strategy of triple jumping, and then ground pounding, cancelling as soon as possible to barely reach the donut block to save like 3 seconds, I think it was.
It saves a significant amount of time, because otherwise you have to go down through the bottom section and hit against all those little question mark blocks to get an item to spring to be able to jump up instead. So that's way cleaner than what we've done before. 17.2 also has a really cool new trick in it. Normally we have to get a bomb to break through a pipe, and we do that by going into the right side of the room with the dry bones. We have to go get a key and everything, and you do not do that. I don't know how long it takes you to explain that, if you want to do that when we get closer, or start now.
Alright, so for the trick I'm going to be doing to skip the level, I need 2 things. I need a mushroom, and I need a bomb. So, unfortunately we do need to enter one of these key doors to get a mushroom, to set up for getting this bomb on the very right side of the screen. Now, it's probably a bit hard to see, but we're going to be sneakily grabbing that bomb after we have the mushroom. We do need to hit the power to get the key to be able to exit the level. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a partial wall clip in order to jump on the bomb to sneakily get the bomb out of there, which saves probably 5 seconds, I want to say. Something
it's got to be
like
longer
that.
because normally we go through a pipe or a door, so it's like 3 seconds to go through the door plus the extra 2 seconds. Like, it's a lot of time saved. That's really significant. So that's really, really cool. Normally, again, we go through an extra door into an extra section to go kill an extra dry bone. So it's just, that was fast. Very, very fast is the TLDR version. 17.3, you have an interesting bomb strat at the beginning too. So just watch the bomb handling on these first 2 bombs that we're going to grab. This saves a ton of time over having to grab a second bomb later.
Yep. I'll explain why this saves time in a moment. I'll just let you watch this bomb surfing that's going to occur.
Notice we dropped one back at the pipe. Normally we get a bomb out of that pipe that's falling there, or maybe we don't, but it's like one of those things where that takes so much longer to explode than bringing it from the beginning. But it's just very impressive to get there with its speed.
So essentially we use the bomb at the very beginning to blow up the wall because by using that bomb we don't have to wait at all for the wall to be blown up pretty much.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
And also just talking about a really precise movement there.
You could hear past Pengo's reaction to that too, because that was really clean. It's less necessary to explain that part because the movement does sort of speak for itself on that compared to why that bomb at the beginning is so incredibly important, but also just very clean, very precise angles to not hit any of the spikes in that very deadly section. 17.4, back to sort of platform scrolling. So we get a normal beginning section, and then we're going to go ride the platforms with Bob, which is Bob spelled backwards, so the capital B is last. And that's the chain chomp on the left there. Obviously, Pengo has a lot of fun with this one. I normally just stand in the middle of the platform so nothing hits me, but you know, you can go play with Bob if you'd like to.
I don't think I muck around too much on this one,
yes,
mainly because the last jump took a while.
You still mess around a bit. The key thing here is that because this is a platform scroller, instead of an auto-scroller, we control the screen scroll at this point. So depending on where we line up, we can actually control when some of the final enemies spawn in, which is how we're going to time when this Goomba is going to show up. So there's going to be a Goomba falling from a pipe, and we can actually jump off of it in midair to get to the end of this level way sooner than you're supposed to be able to, which is very frustrating to do, honestly. We do not do that in full any % runs for safety reasons, especially when you're getting to the end of an any % run, you're on 17.4 out of 18 worlds. You don't want to die to that, but it's very impressive. Alright, 17.5, the thing to look out for at the beginning is we are going to jump over the first set of ice. This is something that you can go for in any % run, you just usually don't get it, and that's fine. You just do the slow thing next, because it's safe to go for it. But by jumping very precisely off of those note blocks, you can get over the top of the level. It's much more difficult to do than it looked.
It requires jumping on both note blocks. You need both note blocks there to be able to do this. Because how it works is you're kind of like falling off of one note block while you're on another note block, which allows you to gain more height. For whatever reason. I think you don't fall down as much initially when you run off the first note block. Something like that.
It's magic. It works, but it's very precise. 17.6, the key thing here is skipping the first mushroom, again to save that half second, because we're just going to get the fire flower second instead.
Yep.
There it is. And I believe you actually...
Now, I'm going to snipe some bloopers as well, to stay on the conveyor belts for as long as I can.
Yeah, the bloopers are blocking your path back down, so by sniping them with the fireballs, you can land on the conveyor belt, get that extra momentum as soon as possible. And then, of course, frame perfect jumps on anything going backwards is the other recipe to finish this one as fast as possible. You know, just casually, by the way, get the frame perfect jumps while you're at it. 17-7, I think, fairly standard. This is the one with the boo in the cannon at the beginning, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
I believe the boo is named Blueberry, by the way.
Yeah. I do have to manipulate this cannon by facing right while doing movement. The boo's kind of annoying to manipulate. I won't explain how that works, because it's annoying. But then I damage boost with the boot, so I don't have to wait. Usually, we used to get a mushroom to do that damage boost, but using a damage boost with the boot doesn't lose the half second because Mario isn't being transformed into Big Mario. So that's why I use the boot to damage boost instead.
Jump at the end is really tight, getting between that boo circle and the block at the bottom of the flagpole, so very nicely done. The safe thing to do is to ram your face into the block and then the boo circle's out of the way by the time you do your jump. But you can get through that gap, it's just very close cut. 17-8, this one, do you want to talk about your new Yoshi strat at the beginning?
Yes, so there are some bombs halfway through the level that we're going to snipe very early on in the level. And however, when Yoshi spits a fireball, the fireballs kind of go sort of fast, but for us speedrunners, they don't go fast enough. So what I'm going to do is a blazing spit by dismounting Yoshi, and just after shooting a fireball, the fireballs travel much faster than normal. In fact, so fast that we can barely keep up with them.
And here comes a very fun ending, where you're now Small Mario jumping through a field of Hammer Brothers. He goes fast enough that you actually can't dodge the bottom ones without jumping over them. And then Bowser at the end is, of course, RNG.
Yes, that ending was a nightmare.
God, the ending is so awful on this one. In any percent runs, we keep Yoshi just because that ending is so bad without it. I remember when I was trying to do this IL with a different strat, but similar ending. Like, it took forever to get the right set of RNG for everything to line up correctly. Shoutouts to the time save we just got. We just saved 47 seconds over my gold for this world. To be fair, my gold is probably not as clean as it could be, but still, like, that's very fast. 17-8 is huge. The time save on 17-3 is really impressive, and 17-2, that big skip makes a huge difference. We're now 4 minutes and 30 seconds ahead. So yeah,
Alright, so
fast.
final clown car level, I think.
Skip the clown car though, why would you need that? Watch this. Get the mushroom. I don't even want to, like, just look at this. It's so cool.
Clown cars are slide and we don't need them, so we do this instead.
It's so cool! Normally you get the clown car and use it to navigate the obviously designed for a clown car part of the level there, but you know, we could also not do that. And again, keep in mind earlier we talked about moving in a clown car is slower than moving not in a clown car. So we're going to try to be in this clown car as infrequently as possible. So jumping out of it right there, there's thankfully plenty more clown cars in this level to jump into. So you'll see a couple different clown car transfers where we'll jump from one to the other because it's faster to get that boost ahead, basically. So here's the next one. Look at how long that jump is. Definitely not scary whatsoever. Very nicely done. And jumping at the end of the pipe too. As soon as you get to the pipe from the clown car, you jump. Normally we'd get a little closer for safety. You can hear the excitement at the end from Fast Pengo on that one. Very nice. Yeah, we're in the final world of the Any percent run. So that's pretty exciting. Only 7 to go before we see the final time here. I may not split it quite right, but I'll do my best. I have it in the video as well, timed out by frames. To be fair, the difference between the time that I'm showing in the video and the next second was 1 frame. It was 1 frame away from being 1 second slower, so it was a little questionable, but it's fine. This one's pretty standard. Watch the staying on the conveyor belt is the key thing here. So there's the right moving conveyor belt. You want to stay on there as long as possible. So you see cut very close to those wigglers there. That's optimal. Usually you give yourself a little bit more space before the wigglers because you don't want to face plant into a wiggler at the end of your run. Again, that would not be recommended.
One of the more straightforward levels overall, though, because other than that one part you're holding right the whole time if you know what you're doing.
Yes. Next is going to be 18-3. A lot of this is stuff that you'll see in an Any percent run, but some of it is not. Crucially, we are not going to get the checkpoint or the mushroom, but there's plenty to look at before then. This level's just cool. I love this one. The first thing to note is that there is some RNG when the boot spawns in this right side pipe, so optimal, we get the boot right away. Unsurprising for a run that we could reset. Very nice jump onto the... Yeah.
Yeah.
That was good. We don't usually get that, so that was very clean. You saw we got to the door as the platform's moving left. We usually get the door as the platform's moving right and just barely there. Very clean jumps here. The boot does make it difficult to turn back and forth, so very nice job getting to each platform and being able to turn around. Bowser Jr. moves to the right. That is the actual largest source of RNG at this level, so that's awesome.
50-50.
It's so
nothing you can do about it.
It doesn't really matter, but there's where we would normally get a checkpoint for some stuff we're going to do, and instead we just don't do that. So look at how clean this red coin movement is in this section, not worrying about the platform whatsoever, gliding right through. Love how good that looks, and we'll jump out to get the coin here. Don't think this is... Yeah, no, this is just the whole ride. I was like, this isn't the next part yet.
Yep.
Okay.
All
Here
right,
we go into
so
there we go. Yeah, go for it.
because we don't have a mushroom like we usually would, because to save the half seconds, I have to wait for this Magic Koopa slightly and then run through the Magic Koopa, because when you try to run through Magic Koopas, they like to disappear after they've shot a magic bullet.
Yeah.
And so there you go, that's how we handle that section.
Normally we jump off the stair and through the Magic Koopa and then can finish the level the same way, but again, if you don't get the checkpoint, you don't get the mushroom, you gotta do some different things. Finishing this one out is pretty standard, just don't get hit by anything, which if you're speedrunning, usually you don't, so yay! Coming up on 18-4, we're going to see some interesting Bowser fights.
Oh yeah.
What's that?
One more thing about that level, you probably saw that I was kind of jumping mid-air with the boot. The boot lets you jump in mid-air for a short time because you bounce all the time when you move it, so Nintendo made you so you could jump in mid-air for a brief time, and so I've used that in the platform room.
Nice.
Alright, so on to 18-4. This is a boss fight level. So we are going to be fighting two Bowsers with fireballs, which means optimizing Bowser fights, which isn't fun because of the luck required on top of the execution.
Bowser RNG is a whole thing.
So that is a
very
blatantly
clean.
fast Bowser kill there.
Usually it is faster to real time to get Bowser to fall through just because it's too difficult to execute the firefight correctly. So usually we'll have that Bowser fall through the ground. The next one we do fight with fire, but not this fast. It's going to be a much cleaner fight. You notice as well, Pengo jumps over Bowser to be on the left side of the screen, which is close to where the door spawns in. So very difficult, but very optimal.
Yes.
You can hear the excitement too. I love it when you could hear your reactions on some of the videos.
Yes, there's the 63.
And I feel bad that I have to cut you off on it because I didn't transition.
That's fine.
Oh gosh. Would recommend
Some
checking
of those
out
are out of context as well.
That's fair. Would recommend checking out the original IL videos as well. Alright, 18-5 is sort of a free one. This is just the cape one again, so you talked about earlier, just getting into the swoopy motion as soon as possible is what you're saying you're trying to do.
Yes, so doing a really short flight here. Usually runners fly all the way up to the top before flying, but no, you don't have to. You can do a really short flight and then slowly build up the height over time.
Yeah.
And now there's also one more optimization at the end of the level. There is a skull platform that's moving to the right when you land on it, and so we want to be running on that to save a little bit extra time.
Very nice. Yeah, that one's a fun breather in the any % run when you get to that point. Usually it's pretty safe. You're not losing too much time on it. So it's nice to get that break before you go into the final three. This next one, you definitely do some things a little bit differently with the Yoshi and some of the skips we do. So if you want to talk about that, kind of nice.
Yep. Okay, so essentially I try to avoid the saws because they technically lose a bit of time. But essentially what we're going to do here is we are going to say goodbye to the skull platform as soon as possible. And just jump off of it and jump to the end of the level. Luckily, there are flying bomb-bombs and saws to assist us in our adventures. You'll also see me do backwards tongues to accelerate faster and controlling my jumps. This is very tight, as well as jumping off Yoshi at the end to get all the way to the goal. There is no ground in this entire level. So you miss any of those jumps, you're dead.
Usually we bring Yoshi all the way to those final set of 2 bob-bombs. Like, usually you don't skip the entire final pyramid. Like, there's some really optimal movement happening there. 18-7 is going to be a bit more chill. This is, once again, an auto-scroller. Key thing is, you do swim faster to the right if you're holding an item, and the first section is technically not an auto-scroller, so we go up, get the item, and get in the pipe as soon as possible, and then we chill for the auto-scroller part. You do need to be holding an item when you finish this section, though. When you enter the final pipe, you do need to hold the item to get to the gold tape as soon as possible. Technically a time save, but up until that point, you can do whatever the heck you'd like to do.
I think I grab a POW instead of a shell just because I can.
Yep, you do.
Because everybody grabs the shell.
So every runner kind of has their own way of doing things. I like to put the thwomps in thwomp timeout, where I just put them above the screen so they can't slow them down on you, because why not? But again, Pengo likes to do death-defying things of like almost falling off the bottom of the screen every 2 seconds, because why not? You just have plenty of options when it comes to this level. If anyone has a favorite level they've seen so far, feel free to shout it out. I know we've seen 80. This is the 87th level that has been shown today so far. We still have some more to go, but there's just so many different cool strats. It's really awesome to see, like, all the work, Pengo, that you put into this, all the different cool things that you thought up to make these levels even faster than they've ever been. I mentioned earlier, like, a little over a year ago, for Mario Day, I had done a community best video where I took, at the time, the very best real-time IL from anyone on the leaderboard for every single level. And that was a whole community effort. There was like, you know, at least 8 or 10 different runners that were featured, rainbow of times and everything. This video is faster than that. Like, Pengo single-handedly crushed that and made everything a lot faster. I think the time for, I don't know if you have that one handy. Do you have the time handy for what the original compilation was?
Yes, I do. Give me one moment.
If you want to wait to reveal that till the end so we can talk about how fast this one is, we can. But it's impressive.
Oh, it's alright.
Impressive just how much faster.
Oh, actually, yeah, I may as well save this again because it's so close anyway.
We'll secretly save it. We're getting close to the end of this level. There's the POW that we're going to be carrying through. 14-4 auto-scrollers rock. Really? Yep. Of all the strats you see today, that was... Alright, you know what? If you like pretty patterns of fireballs... in that level, which is cool. There was a strat. If you like pretty patterns of fireballs, then technically yes. Actually, do you lose time for having the POW at the end of this in real time? Does it block you from finishing the level?
No, it's just as fast as the shell. It's just another item.
No, like... Sometimes if you have a POW and you drop it, it blocks Mario from moving at the end of the level?
At the end of the level. I haven't tested it.
Level ending timings are weird. Let's talk about 18 days. 18 days got cool stuff. Do you want to take this one? This is our final level.
I'll take over here.
Okay.
So this first section is kind of a puzzle section. You're supposed to enter lots of different rooms, get items, and then go back to previous rooms to be able to progress in the level. So here I'm going to just essentially go through as few rooms as possible because pipe transitions are very slow.
Yes.
As already mentioned. Going through one pipe, that takes 6 seconds. Wait, 7 seconds?
It's 3 seconds, but because you have to go through the pipes twice, once to get into the subworld, once to get back out, at 6 seconds overall per transition you have to do. So we are following the route normally, where you get the POW, you get the key, but then we're going to skip getting the spring. The spring is normally what you're supposed to bring into the top right, but why would we do that if we have a shell and really good twirls and really good Kaizo mechanics?
So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to wall jump while holding a shell. I can't wall jump and hold the shell at the same time, so I have to drop it, and then to skip the vine, I also do a shell jump at the top of the shell wall jumps to barely get up and reach the key door. That saves 10.5 seconds.
It's immense. Here, you'll notice
from skipping that one room.
We pause on the left side of the screen to give the fire flower a chance to spawn in, because the pipe won't actually give you a fire flower unless it knows you're there. And then we're going to only hit one fire here to skip. I think you do a ground pound cancel to get the rest of the height.
Yes, duck jump, ground pound cancel.
That replaces,
to get the extra block of height to get up.
Now replaces the triple
jump.
And
triple jump.
Yeah. Movement here, super impressive. Getting underneath all these saws.
Underneath the first saw, underneath the second saw, and damage boost through the saw for the last one.
Yes.
Because the propeller is not the fastest.
No, we want to be small Mario for the ending here. So we actually damage boost through Bowser Jr. Note that Pengo causes the right side donut block to fall. That makes the path clean to get down to the key door without hitting it, so that saves time. Here we go, almost at the end. Final axe is coming up soon. I'm getting ready for my split.
In this last room, I also do an extra wall jump to save time. And try to ground pound to not have to jump on the Magic Koopa, and that will be time.
Time! I think I split late, so my time is going to show 1:42:35. I think it's actually 1:42:34. We'll see the final time on screen here momentarily. That was over a minute saved in World 18 with all of those very exciting strats, all the different optimizations happening. Over 5 minutes and 50 seconds. Yeah, final time is officially 1:42:34. I split late, so congratulations. That is blazingly fast. Over like 6 minutes faster than my PB that I've ever done. Do you have the community best time for comparison?
As in current world record?
No, community.
Or from the previous splice?
Whichever one you'd like to do.
Okay, so the Mario Day splice, the time was 1:43:42, so we've improved it by over a minute.
Yes.
In this splice.
Pengo specifically has improved it by over a minute compared to everyone else's combined best times. I'm going to pause the video real quick so we can finish out the last part. We do have bonus though. We get to see the rest of the 12 levels that make up World 19. We're not timing that one. It doesn't have an official category, but yeah, current world record holder is Juicy CD. Do you have his time?
Yes, I do. His time is a 1:47.26. So this almost beats that by 5 minutes.
Yes. Like I said,
which is kind of ridiculous to think about. There's still like 5 minutes of time saved left in this category.
Theoretically. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves and expect that like in the next year or so. But huge congratulations. That is a mind-blowing amount of time saved. I'm so excited that you were able to accomplish this. And we still have 12 levels to go. So without further ado, let's jump into them, especially since the first one's an auto-scroller. So what we're looking at now is World 19. World 19 is the bonus world in this game. It has an extra 12 levels that you get out of level select. So you'll see the intermediates between levels are different because the backing video does have to select them out of level select each time. There is no way to just get to them from the any percent category. So a little bit different. Once again, though, this is an auto-scroller, so we get to mess around with stuff. Oh, that was kind of fun. Frame point.
I go up top here, I think, if I'm remembering. Yeah, I do.
This is technically intentional. You are kind of supposed to go through and like deal with all these enemies on the inside, but you don't have to, so you can do whatever you want with this one. Again, it's an auto-scroller, so you get a little bit of freestyling, whatever you feel like being up to. I like going through it because you can use that question block to unlock a mushroom, and that mushroom stays on screen a surprisingly large amount of time, so I like to think that it's a relative of Bob's, you know, the one-up mushroom from earlier. I have way too much unnecessary lore in my head that has no basis in reality, but it's fun. This is what happens when you get stuck on an auto-scroll and you have nothing better to do than daydream about whether or not two mushrooms are related. Very healthy habit, obviously. I'm gonna put my notes away because my notes only go through... Oh, there we go. Nice job. Sorry.
Also, spring jump at the end to light up the ending because there's no ground to the left of the ending.
Yeah.
And so the spring jump was the easiest way to line up the ending.
19-2, this is my favorite level in the game. It's the fastest level in the game. Watch how quickly this goes by. There we go. Oh, hey, look at all this railing. Do we want to take the rails? Nope. Done. It's so
Yeah, that's the level.
Level. This is the level that got me to submit my very first speedrun time to the IL leaderboard because I was really proud of finding that strat and I wanted to prove that I found it before anyone else did. It was a very selfish reason, but it got me to start submitting and I'm really glad that that level exists. This one's also really fun. This was the level that made me realize I like speedrunning this, and I did come up with the strat that saves the time on this one. You notice most things are moving left, but there are a few things in this level that are moving to the right. So the specific one here is you can actually go underneath the platform, land on that one block of fire bar moving to the right, and that saves just enough time to get to the next second to get the 27 IL, or 87 IL. You notice the IL on the backing video is 86, because I didn't do that strat when I was recording the second time. I needed to just get a clean run of World 19. It was not clean. I died multiple times trying to record the background for this. Yeah. Don't look at my in-game times.
Underneath the platform is really hard.
It is, but it's fun.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about this one?
Yeah. We're essentially just all the conveyor belts in this level are backwards moving, I think.
Except for these.
Except for maybe one of them. Oh yeah, except for the ones here.
So
I'm essentially trying to stay off of them as much as possible.
Yeah.
I'm holding right. And that's the level.
Very nice.
Not much else to say.
Yeah, it's one of those ones that's easy to overlook because it just kind of moves. There's nothing too special.
Yeah.
19.5, you got some really cool strats though for this one.
Yes, so this is a level that's built as a speedrun level. Great, but we're not going to be taking the intended route like Nintendo wants us to. We're going to be doing some shenanigans.
Shocking, I know.
So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to steal this P-switch so that I can make a shortcut through these coins to skip going up and around.
That also...
Notice how the Goombas aren't here like they usually are. I steal another P-switch to go through these coins and P-switch drop to save a bunch of time so we're not waiting for the cannon launcher to shoot shells to let us through. And now for the final part of this level, we are going to avoid hitting a P-switch to turn the blocks into coins, and so we can jump directly to the end of the level. Usually you'd have to go up in this section, but because we didn't hit the P-switch, we get to run straight to the end.
Very nice. We usually do cut out the ending, like multiple of the runners have gotten the ending of that Pengo's middle of the level route is just so cool. We hadn't done any of those before. And getting rid of that stack of Goombas saves time. It's very helpful to not have to go down through those ones.
Yeah.
19?
Oh, okay.
Oh gosh.
So this is a very old one. This is actually my first IL. Now, just because it's my first IL doesn't mean it's ridiculous, because it is. So this is an auto-scroller, and we're going to skip it. I go into the pipe to get a shell, and then go back out of the pipe, because if this pipe goes away, we can't get back into this area. Then I hit a question mark block way off at the top of the screen to get a mushroom, because there's a question mark block on tracks, so I snipe it with the shell. And now you might be thinking, what am I doing all of this for? I've got a Galumba and I've got a mushroom. What was the point of this? Well, the point of this was for the Galumba to wake up in my hands as I jump off of the pipe to barely get over the wall, because doing a shell jump or a mid-air shell jump does not give you enough height, so this is what I did instead. To skip the level. And it saves 10 seconds, I would say.
It's fast.
About.
So yeah, to recap, we go in, get a shell, have to come back out to reset the scroll, because if we tried to get the mushroom right then, the pipe would have left the screen. Come back in, get the mushroom, go back to reset the scroll again, because if we then try to get the Goomba at the same time, again, you just have to keep resetting it to stay on screen, which is very exciting. This level's all about falling cinder blocks. Mostly it's dodging them and then trying to land on top of them where possible. There is a Yoshi that you can get for safety, but, you know, you don't have to, so why not just go faster?
Yeah.
Ending is the hardest part. Getting between those blocks and then up on top of these other ones as they're falling is very difficult, but very fast, as it turns out, so nice. I love how cheerful Mario is. I know I said that earlier, but he's just a very cheerful sort of dude. Right, 19.8. Which one is 19.8? I would. Oh yeah, gosh.
Oh yeah, this level. So this level has tons of routing possibilities. The idea of this level is there's 8 different sections. There's a key in each section. The intended route is to go through each section and get the key and go into the key door. Door transitions are slow, so we're going to avoid some of them.
Every section has a key-based route and an alternate route, and so we have to find an optimal combination of which routes do we take the key and go through the door, and which routes do we skip what was intended. Activating the P-switch there is important because it makes those coins appear. Those would normally be blocks, now it lets us skip very quickly through that section.
The P-switch also lets us go through that section, and the P-switch jump lets us skip the bottom section that I jumped over.
Yeah, the change.
And now because of the key routing, we get to skip getting the keys. I had to route this to find the most optimal keys to get, because sometimes you want to get the keys and other times you don't. And also, shoutouts to jumping through the Hammer Bros, and that's luck at the end of the level, if you would have guessed.
Right? Just, oh yeah, let's throw some RNG at the end of this for that final key after having to do everything else. So, very nicely done. Gosh. I know, I remember when I was first doing this one, I had like this giant spreadsheet with all the different route combinations trying to time it out. There are so many possibilities. This is another one where you skip things, I believe, with double shells this time.
Oh, 19.9, yes. So, these are going rapid fire, because they're so fast. So, there's a subworld in this level, and we skip it. So, the way we skip it, though, is we need 2 shells. So, what I need is I need a shell up the very top of this wall here. And the way I do that is I drop a shell onto the spring, and then jump the shell and barely get on there. And then I do a blind shell jump with arrow 12s to barely make it over to skip the entire level.
And this saves so much time. The underground area of that level is very long, very slow, because you have to do some weird climbs up springs and everything, get to the top. It's still a bit of an auto-scroller. That is a very impressive skip. Very cool to see. 1910, kind of a bit of a puzzle level where you don't know where to go. I think one of the cooler things here is not only the optimal movement, but you actually get underneath a bullet bill launcher pretty soon here, which is very impressive. Yes.
So this level is the last cape level. So there's also going to be cape movement in this as well. You'll see in a moment.
There was ducking under.
So this is a very fun level to optimize because it's so many narrow spaces, and usually you have big open spaces. But there I spin jump, which keeps the bullet bill up for long enough to squeak under it, instead of having to go up and around. Now, at this part, I break these blocks to not have to open the vine and fly up to the door, which is a new strategy. It's only possible while you have the star active, otherwise you don't have enough space to get the speed to fly for that section. And now for the final section, we're just killing the enemies as intended.
Yeah, this part, fairly straightforward. The beginning, the cape movement is what really sets this one apart. You know, so we have to go back for the star. Usually you're trying to get ahead of the star because you're going around the bullet bill launcher. the only time I've seen someone have to go back for it and be like, okay, are you catching up to me yet? Like, come on, Star, get with the picture. Oh gosh. I know, these levels are going by so fast, we're almost at the end of it. Almost at the end of it.
Yeah, I know.
Only have 2 left, so there's only 12 levels in World 19. I say only 12 levels in World 19, that's still 4 more than any other world has. But here's 1911.
Alright. Okay, I'll explain this one. I'll leave the last one to you, Char. So, in 1911, the overworld there's nothing really to write home about. It's just hold right. Pretty much, as long as you know what you're doing. There's some cheap cheeps to avoid, there's some platforming to do, but it's hold right. The subworld, however, is a different story. At the end of the subworld, there will be lines of brick blocks that you need to get past. The only way to get past them is by using a Magic Cooper or by using a shell. We use a shell because we don't want to wait for the Magic Coopers to shoot down the walls for us. So we grab this shell and we take it all the way to the end of the subworld.
You use it
However,
here,
I didn't explain that there were 2 lines of brick blocks here to avoid. There's that bonk in this level, which is unoptimal. Avoiding Hammer Bros, and now for the hardest part of the level. Getting this shell, because that's optimal, getting through there and duck jumping into the pipe. There is a lot that happens just there, and it's very, very hard at the end of the level.
So much going on
But it's also very fast.
And you probably didn't even see the Magic Koopas. They are there. They are your way to get through that barrier on your casual playthrough, but they are very slow to wait for. They do not fire things very fast, and they're random, so it takes a little while. Bringing the shells and making your own route through is definitely faster. Final level of the game, TLDR, it's fast. So in this one, you're supposed to sort of do back and forth wall jumps following those coin trails, but the more times we can sort of skip doing that and jump on top of any of the platforms, that's actually going to be optimal. So what you're looking for is anytime we can skip the section that we're going through, we get checkpoint there, by going on top of things instead of actually going the intended way through. So you can see we're skipping a lot of the back and forth there. That's what we're trying to do. Landing on top twice there in order to skip that entire back and forth section, and we're already at the end. Final 2 jumps, and that's time for World 19, which we weren't timing, but it was fast. That's it. That is all 100 levels done as fast as humanly possible. Fastest we've ever done. Congratulations, Pengo. We get some final stats here in a moment. First one is the total IGT time off of the leaderboard is 57:09. This is not actually shown in the video because we had some RTA ones. First IL was 14:2, last one was 9:3, and that is 1 year, 6 months, and 10 days between the first and last IL. So congratulations.
So we could probably do questions now if anybody has some, because that went by blazing fast and it probably wasn't a lot of time to explain things.
That is true. If anyone has questions that they would like to ask, please feel free. At this point, we can jump to any point in the video, so I can just jump to wherever I want to. And haha, look, there is gameplay happening, which is very nice. I'm gonna make it a little bit quieter since we're more in chill mode. Yeah, this is a lot. Like, yeah, 100 levels. Like about an hour of in-game time, which is much longer than that when you account for pipe transitions, things like that. Do you have an estimate of how many hours you think you put into this? Like, I know the total calendar time was like over a year, but like...
I don't know. From one I don't know, like... it's... I really have no idea how long this took, is the short answer. I just had a blast figuring out all these routes and optimizing these levels.
Very nice. Which level was the most complicated to figure out for you?
Most complicated level to figure out for me? Well, there's lots of levels. I have to give it to 18.8 though, because of all the crazy routing for doing that super duper optimally.
18.8 is a whole adventure. So for anyone who doesn't have the levels memorized, that was that final one with all of the different skips, the propeller stuff, the shell jumps off of the wall, all of that. This is 18.8 right here. Did you have... chat, feel free to ask questions as well. I'm just getting all my questions in first because I can. Did you have a favorite level to route? Like, which one were you the most excited to be working on?
Which ones was I the most excited to be working on? I think whenever I had found a really cool new skip, I wanted to put that into a level immediately. So things like levels like 19.9, where you get to skip skip the entire subworld, or 19.6, 19.5, or you're skipping parts of the level and doing the unintended. Those are my favorite parts.
Nice. That makes a lot of sense. I'm trying to like scrub to the right one, but it's like difficult because it is a 2-hour video. So I can't always find the right moment. Oh, nope, I'm too far ahead. Go back. Wait. 99. Oh, it was there for 2 seconds. Okay, here it is. There's a skip again. See? I found it. I'm trying to add the visuals in. I'm not doing the best job of this. Question from the chat after watching this: is the community excited to jump in and try the new strats, try to beat the times, or dismayed because this is so much faster than the previous record?
Oh my.
Obviously, the community is made up of... Oh, go ahead. Yeah, if you have an answer.
Well, I don't know. It's gonna take some effort for everybody else other than me to learn these strats, because a lot of these, I'm the only one who's ever done them. Is the short answer, because of almost everything being IL exclusive.
You had some stats on how many ILs you broke the time that existed for it versus how many do you have solo versus how many are tied. Do you want to share some of those?
Yeah. Okay. So let's go through those stats. We have the number of world records untied. So this section is going to be based on in-game time, not real time. So the in-game time being the timer at the top right corner of the levels. So I untied 45 of the 100 levels in this quest. I currently hold 44 solo world records, which essentially is the same thing, except how many world records that I personally hold all to myself.
Yes.
Only one of them has been retied by Pelonxi so far.
Yeah.
The total amount of in-game time I've saved over the course of this journey, 135 seconds. So this game is 135 seconds of in-game time faster than it used to be. A year and a half ago, I think?
Yeah. So we're
Do I have that right?
a little less than that, because Mario Day would have been 2 months ago. So about a year and 2 months ago would have been, I think, when I had that IL compilation. Because this past Mario Day we just raced, which was very fun. That was off stream. The Mario Day before that I think was the IL compilation. The Mario Day before that was like a hype video.
Yeah.
To answer the question from the perspective of someone in the community who does not have all those times, it is intimidating. So I had actually done a similar quest a couple years back where I did beat all 100 levels, and at the time where I got each level, I had the fastest time in it. I just never held them long enough to keep them all at once. And a lot of them, at least 45 of them, are no longer the case, right? Like, I no longer have the fastest time those. I have most of the ties, so I haven't lost a lot of records there, but I don't know if I have even half of them anymore. I think I don't think it's any amount of dismay. I don't think I've seen any comments in the community. I've never felt like, oh, well, now it's impossible to beat. You even heard us talking about time save in this video. I think I'm excited. I don't think I will try all these strategies. There's some out of me that's like, it hurts a little to know there's time save you're not going for when you're doing an 90% run, but I'm smart enough to know my limits and know that some of these tricks are not happening at an 80% run. But I am excited. I will say that watching this, as soon as I finished putting this video together, the first 8 levels, I immediately went and practiced those 8 levels, or the first 8 worlds, because I wanted to go try some of those strats. Like, I saw the Hammer Brothers strat in 17.3 or 2 or that one. It was to be like, I gotta see if this works, and it's so much fun to do. So I think in general, when new strats are found, there's a moment of, oh no, we have to do that now, but it's very quickly followed by, oh wait, we can do that now, and it's very exciting. So that's my personal take on it. Thank you for asking, Skater.
I'll also note that the skill ceiling in this game is very high, as you probably have seen, because of all the crazy stuff possible with Kaizo, which is essentially jumping off of stuff midair.
Yeah, this game has 4 different themes. We didn't really talk about the foundation of the game. You can check out some of the ones for that. But basically, there's 4 different themes. We're at the end of the video. Wait, random spot. We're now in the middle of there. You get to see this ending again. Very exciting.
Oh yeah, both sounds good.
Just going fast again. There are 4 different themes. You have the original Mario Brothers theme, the Super Mario Bros. 3 theme, the Super Mario World theme, this one, and the new Super Mario Bros. Theme. Generally, the most interesting strats happen in those last 2, because those are the 2 themes where you can pick up items. Even though the physics are the same throughout all of them, and that your jump speed, jump height, all of that stays the same, how you can interact with the world does change throughout the different themes. So in the first theme, you can only run and jump. You can never pick up an item, you can never wall jump, there's no ground pounds, there's no twirls, none of that. It's very straightforward. About the same for Mario 3. Not too much is happening there. Mario World is where you really get all the different, being able to drop items, and that's what really unlocks a lot of those more complicated tricks to get through the levels. And then with New Super Mario Bros. Theme, you get some of the Kaizo tricks. You can't do up throws. There's some things that are limited, but that's where you get all of the movement options, where you can now do wall jumps, ground pound cancels, like all of those things. And so the movement on those levels gets really complicated because they are designed to do wall jumps. So generally, if you're looking for what's the coolest looking level with all the most complicated stuff, it's either going to be a bunch of Kaizo tricks in a Mario World level, or it's going to be some really clean, wild movement in one of the new Super Mario Brothers levels.
So for example, 5-3 is one of those levels where it's Kaizo.
Yeah, this is the Kaizo level in this game. Like, the any % route, you can take safer paths than what this thing does. Like, normally you would get the coin before going through the pipe, so that when you activate the P-switch while inside the pipe here, you can actually just sort of shortcut going through that whole coin back and forth. It normally goes right, left, right. And obviously instead you can just do this. Not recommended for an any % run. You will die to that much more times than you will get it. You can do the strat with the shell jump at the end. Again, you would not go through the pipe normally because this does slow down real time, but optimal for this this IL. But you can also bring a spring with you for the entire level and just do a spring jump at the end, which is what I traditionally do because it's very safe. So there's plenty of options. This is the most flexible level in terms of Kaizo routing, which is really cool. No one does it normally. Doing it normally is not fun. You can beat it without any Kaizo tricks by just bringing the spring with you and setting it down nicely on the ground every time you need to use it. So if you're looking into getting into this game and are intimidated by Kaizo tricks, you do not have to do them. You can still get very good times without them. So that is nice. We've been talking for a long time. How are you doing? Are there any other things you'd like to discuss? If not, we can start to wrap things up. I'm very excited with how we did today.
I don't know, it's been a blast. I don't really have too much more to say. It's been great to share this with everyone. And thank you to Char as well for being the one to put all of this together for me.
Yeah, I'm happy to. I'm really glad you were willing to let me show it off on my stream and that you're willing to join me on commentary, because this is way more fun with all of your insights and like learning so much about what went into each of these. There's obviously some I can see because I know this game, but like there's so much more that I feel like I learned today, which is really exciting. So and congratulations again on this absolutely monumental accomplishment. All 100. I think the final question I'll ask is 100% win.
100% win?
So, for anyone who doesn't know, this game has two categories, any %, 100%. So technically there's another 100 ILs up for grabs, which is the 100% version of all of these.
I think I will try my hand at actually doing any % to use some of these IL strats to use.
Okay.
And then
that's fair.
At some point I do want to tackle those 100% ILs at some point, but it's not happening anytime soon.
That's very fair. I'm looking forward to seeing your any % times. I'm happy to race you pretty much anytime you'd like. I love any %. I'm personally getting back into it. If you've been watching my stream, you know that I haven't done this category in a while. When I play it next, it will look worse than this. Just blatant transparent heads up. But I have been practicing, inspired by what I've been seeing as I've been putting this together. So I'm looking forward to bringing that back. With that, I think that's gonna do it for us today. I guess I already asked for final words. Any final words?
Not really, other than this is very fast now.
this
very
is
fast.
As it turns out.